So just to reiterate, in case that didn't come up, we've got currently the undercard of the undercard of Charlo versus, the undercard of we got Leapai coming on with the undercard against Norberto Gimenez. And this should be a good fight. I mean, Leapai's from Birmingham, so I suppose I've got to support the guy because he's from around my sort of area. But let's have a quick look if we're on. We've got Leapai coming on with the undercard against. Yeah, okay, so we're on. So yeah, let's check this out. So currently it's Andrade versus Sulecki. Not currently now, but it's Andrade versus Sulecki, which is the main fight. And you've got Charlo versus Adams, which is also on tonight. I'll be keeping abreast of both those fights if I can make it up to 5 a.m. It's pretty late down here. But yeah, at the moment it's Leapai versus Jimenez. Supporting your fight in this one. He's from around my area, so got to back the boy. And I think he's in line to. He's got to really kick on in his career because he's coming up to 30 now. I think if he wants to be where he does want to be, then he'll have to, be going through people like Jimenez. It's been a little bit dry, this fight has at the moment, but hopefully it will kind of pick up in the coming rounds. But whilst we're watching this undercard, so a couple of things have happened in the week of boxing. We've had Canelo being elevated to franchise champion, which is a pretty, is it an obvious move in terms of what they're trying to do? Trying to obviously be able to dictate what fights he fights and not be drawn into having to take mandatory fights against other fighters, risking that kind of cash cow and having to take dangerous fights when you could obviously manage the fights that you want your fighters to have. And it looks like the Kovalev fight will be next, which I genuinely think, to be fair, is actually a really decent fight because Kovalev's probably past it, but even a past it Kovalev is still pretty good. We saw how well he's under his new trainer now, how well he boxed and how well he'd almost changed his style and how well he adapted to that. And that's dangerous for Canelo because Kovalev kind of stopped the boxing in favour of fighting and brawling and tried to brawl his way. And he did. And then obviously came unglued against Andre Ward. But then in his last fight, he looked really good. So, if the weight's right and there's no weight clauses and things like that, which obviously Canelo will put those things in play. But even then, I think it would be quite a good fight, and we could see Canelo in a bit of trouble. But yeah, I think it's a good fight for the fans. I'd like to see it happen, whether it happens or not, whether it ends up being Callum Smith, whether a rumoured Bivol, Kovalev, Shuminov, and all the other fighters in that division end up in a WBSS type of series. That'll be good as well, I think, because in that division, in that kind of weight category, there's too many people holding the belts, and you don't really know who really is kind of the man in that division. It might well be Kovalev at the moment, but Beterbiev is in there as well, and he's pretty good. I think I'd want to see someone kind of clean up the division, and having a tournament of that kind of style like the WBSS would probably be something that's needed to kind of give someone that kind of Usyk level of notoriety in that division. Third round is finished. Didn't really see much of it, to be honest. It's been, again, like I said, a bit dry. So this is on Sky Sports in England. They're not showing the Charlo card, so I will have to keep updated in a different way as opposed to terrestrial TV, which I have Sky currently on my phone and on TV in the other room. But don't think the undercard is all that good there. They've got Erickson Lubin, I think, on there, who's the main, it's the chief support to that fight. I do quite like Adams. Charlo, the Charlo brothers, in fact, one of them came unglued, and the other one, who's fighting tonight, who managed to keep his record. He's fighting Brandon Adams, who recently came off the contender division. I won't spoil what happened, but he did quite well. And I think he's a decent fighter than people kind of expect him to be. He did underperform at times. He's lost a unanimous decision. He's got knocked out, hasn't he, as well? So I think there's 2 losses on his record. It might be more. But I think he should be able to at least make it competitive for a bit. It won't be like Golovkin versus Rolls, which was a bit of a shit show, let's be honest. But I'm hoping to see Adams be competitive, be able to maybe win some rounds. I think Charlo does come through it. He's not going to be able to pull the performance that he did the other time he was out. But if he does come through, then maybe he's in line to call out some fighters, Triple G's, Canelos, others. We'll see. Whereas with Andrade, who's the main event on this card, man, Andrade is one of those names where I've heard of him, I just haven't seen him do all that much. Let me pull up his box rec and let me see who's fought recently. Because he's always that name that's fitted about, and people seem to be avoiding him, or that's kind of what's been said about him, and that he's a really credible opponent that no one seems to want to fight. But I just haven't seen enough of him yet. So it's 27 wins for Andrade, 17 by way of knockout. And yeah, so he's fought Jack Kolkai, Artur Akovov. This one's against Sulecki, who went kind of almost life and death with Gabriel Rosado, who's a bit of a gatekeeper. It's the opposition, if he wants to be calling himself, one of the main players in this division, which is really it's got big names, then you're going to have to step up the level of competition. You can't be fighting B's and C level opposition. No disrespect to Sulecki. He might be able to do something tonight. He's shown he was capable in doing what he did against Gabriel Rosado at times, but again, he made it really difficult against Gabriel Rosado. If you're a really good fighter, you should be able to come through Rosado without any problems at all. And I like Rosado. I don't mean that in any negative kind of way. But yeah, that's the kind of level opponent that Andrade's fighting. So I think he should come through Sulecki. Sulecki's got a bit of a punch on him, but I don't see him bothering Andrade too much. Old Eddie's probably picked a great fight for him to fight. This is for the WBO World Middleweight title. So there's a belt on the line. And I think politics-wise, Canelo and the Golden Boy camp are saying that Gennady Golovkin is going to have to pick up a belt, and this might be the belt that they have to pick up to then tempt Canelo into that trilogy fight, which he seems to be avoiding. I don't think he's avoiding it. I don't think you can call not fighting Golovkin to then fight Kovalev avoiding Triple G. And I think, to be fair, Triple G's kind of proved that, yeah, he in my eyes, he beat Canelo in the first fight. In the second fight, I could see it a draw, but I think personally Triple G won that fight as well. But Triple G's not going to get a decision, and he's not going to knock out Canelo Alvarez. It's just not going to happen. In fact, as Triple G gets older, it's probably likely the inverse is going to happen, that Canelo's going to knock out Triple G, which I don't want to see. But I do know that Triple G won't be able to get the win on points against Canelo, especially if it's in somewhere like Las Vegas. It's just not going to happen. So I'd like to see Canelo move on and fight someone like a Kovalev, who I know then Kovalev has more of a chance in knocking out Canelo, maybe even winning a points decision if he performed to the level that he did, that Kovalev did in his last fight. So I think that's a pretty good fight, as opposed to having Triple G fighting in his next fight. So if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. I do live streams. I've got some boxing content coming along the way, which I'm dropping tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to be dropping in some jokes in there. as well as my analysis, putting in some memes. It's gonna be really fun. So if you're into your boxing and a little bit of the weirder side as well as obviously the current fights and a bit of live streaming, then I'm kind of your place. I'm hopefully it'll be your place for you to come and join me. But yeah, tomorrow I'll be dropping a new video, which I think is going to be quite interesting to a lot of people. So I'm looking forward to that being me being putting that out there, and then the first quote unquote episode of it is going to drop up probably on Monday or sometime midweek, and hopefully you guys like that. But yeah, so we're on to round 5 of Leapai versus Jimenez. It looks like, well, Jimenez is on the front foot at the moment, and for these kind of fights, it's been quite nip and tuck, at least from what I've been seeing. I've been watching a little bit and kind of obviously rambling on about other things in boxing. But from what I've seen, it seems kind of nip and tuck and quite close, which you really don't want at all, especially if you're trying to kick on in the division. So I think it's going to have to be important for Leapai to step off from being on the back foot and start putting on some pressure on his opponent and trying now to look good against his opponent. I'm just got to refresh my my link to this fight tonight. Whilst I do that, I will let you know that I do have some other videos on the channel. Again, if you like a bit of the weirder side of boxing, then do take a look at them. But yeah, it's a pretty strange period in the year in the calendar of boxing at the moment, because it's kind of taken a little bit of a dip. It's been a little bit quiet. We've come off of a couple of decent fights, a couple of decent names fighting, and then now we've got like a little bit of a lull until probably, well, Amir Khan's a bit of a name, but he's not really in a bit of a fight. And then you've got White and Rivas, which I think will be pretty good, to be honest with you. And then you've got Pacquiao and Thurman, which is probably the biggest fight coming up next, which is going to be a really good fight to see, I think. I'll be quite hyped to watch that one. I think, speaking of Amir Khan, apparently he's got a verbal agreement to fight Pacquiao in his next fight. I mean, whatever that means, that could mean a whole load of things. Apparently, Amir Khan had a verbal agreement to fight Pacquiao the first time round a couple of years back, and then nothing ever came through with that. So whether this time round Amir Khan is able to actually get that fight against Pacquiao, which is what he's kind of been, yearning for all these years. Like if Kell Brook has hauled out his career for Amir Khan, then to an extent you have to say the same sort of thing for Amir Khan and Pacquiao, because he's really wanted that fight for so long, and he's really kind of, well, even wanting as well the Mayweather fight. He's really tried to push for those fights, those kind of elite names, and he's just never got them. He just keeps pushing for them. I don't know if it's a money thing or just a legacy thing. I don't know what he's able to still show at this stage of in his career. I don't begrudge him taking that Niraj Goyat fight, which is now Billy Dib, after Niraj Goyat had a car crash. Hope he gets well. Because the money's involved. It's very controversial it being in Saudi Arabia. Politics aside, Saudi Arabia was trying to change its image, at least in an entertainment sense, and then maybe move on from there. Politically, you obviously got to put that back in and look at the whole package. It's got a long way to go. I don't want to go too much into politics, what with everything that's gone on, but let's just say that it's got a long way to go. But hey, if this in a small scope of the sense, if this helps to bring through new crop of talent in 10 years down the line, 5 years down the line of Saudi Arabian talent, then so be it. Some good fighters have come through. Maybe not Saudi Arabia specifically. I couldn't really name anyone off the top of my head, but that kind of area, the Middle East, some fighters have come through with that type of lineage or like heritage. For example, Nassim Hamed, who was, I believe, from the Yemen. Obviously, he was British, but he has that kind of background in him, which is kind of a similar sort of area. So, yeah, I mean, in that small kind of scope of the sense of the word, you maybe hope that something good can come in that sense. But anyway, back to the fight here. Got your fight back on the front foot, it looks like. Yeah, so Leapai's now backing up his opponent on the ropes, which is doing some pretty good work. We're in round 6. We're coming up to the end of round 6, and yeah, it's been a bit by the by. It's not been, overly impressive. No fight's gone with any totally clean punches or anything like that. No fight's been hurt, but I think Leapai's probably winning from what I've seen. It's been even, but not overly. It's not been that totally competitive. No one's been buzzed yet, which is a bit. These sort of fights, when you see with the smaller competitors, you want to see a little more kind of faster paced action, and that you find maybe it just isn't that sort of fighter. At least from what I've seen now, I've not seen too much from him personally as well either. But yeah, he just really needs to kick on with his career. I think he's got a couple of brothers as well, and they as well haven't really kicked off on their career as well. But I wish them all the best. I think they could go on to do some good things. They just need to step up now and do that. So yeah, Leapai, he himself has had 25 fights with 15 by way of knockout. So he does have a bit of a punch to him as well. I just remember the Israel Gonzalez fight. He struggled in that fight, but he did come through it, which is good. He's had fights against Luis Concepcion as well, Carmona as well. Again, needs to step up a little bit, but he's doing really well, I think, and will hopefully go on to step up a little bit more. So David Colwell for Sky, whatever this is worth, has Leapai winning by 5 rounds. So only giving the 1 round to the opponent. And if you're having that sort of domination, I think even in the later rounds, just step it up a little bit and get your opponent out there. Backing up on the ropes, coming into the 7th round. And he's looking to do that now, cutting off the ring. Following his opponent around the ring a little bit too much, but he's looking to cut off the ring and try and track down Jimenez. Whether he can take him out, I'm not so sure. But this Jimenez, I think he's lost a few fights. He's lost quite a few fights, hasn't he? But apparently he's been undefeated in his last number of fights. So he'd got a little bit about him. At least, yeah, in the last few fights. So, yeah, he's holding his own. But, I mean, Leapai should be going through. Maybe he's loading up a little bit, as the commentator just said. And maybe he should just be relaxed and let his work kind of just flow out from him. So just to make sure, if anyone's looking to watch the stream in the hope that I'm going to be streaming the fight, that's not the case. My apologies for that, but I can't do that. Otherwise, obviously, I end up getting strikes and things like that. So I won't be doing that on this channel. I'll be reacting on, what I think of it. But yeah, I mean, decent undercard. This is a decent scrap. I've seen worse fights. I've seen better fights, obviously, but this is pretty decent. Let's see what we've got coming up in the world of boxing as well whilst we're watching this undercard. For what it's worth, I have Leapai winning this fight pretty handily so far. Coming up to the 2nd round, I haven't won this. Sorry, coming up to the 7th round, I haven't won this 7th round as well. So yeah, we have obviously this. This has been, was it Joseph Parker versus Eric Molina? Sorry, it's just come up with the schedule and it's saying Joseph Parker versus Eric Molina. Was that the original fight that was meant to happen? Is that correct? That sounds sort of familiar, but then Is Molina going against Kaneko? Is that Areola? Let's have a look at this. Joseph Parker versus Eric Molina. Yeah, so originally this was set for Joseph Parker, Eric Molina, and obviously Eric Molina must have dropped out, or something must have happened there for then Leapai to have been brought in. Apparently that might be a better fight in terms of bringing a few more eyes to it, because Leapai's, I think there's some sort of maybe heritage clash or something along those lines, in terms of being Samoan or Australian or New Zealand, whatever it is. Got Joseph Parker warming up, so hopefully that fight's just straight after this one. So there's something probably was in that to maybe bring a few more eyes into it. But yeah, so we have that's tonight, July 12th in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Khan versus Billy Dib on July 12th. I'll probably end up streaming that as well if it's not too late. I think it should be alright in terms of time wise. I think it's about 8 p.m. and it's on Channel 5 in the UK. So I think Matt Troom and Eddie Hearn stepped away from it. They were like kind of not co-promoting but helping along. Maybe even it was co-promoting, but now they've stepped away, and Channel 5 I believe are now showing that fight. And you've got Huey Fury, obviously Tyson Fury's cousin, fighting Samuel Peter. So that's the same Samuel Peter from the Who Next meme. Former champion. Must be getting on now. He's trying to rebuild his career. Soft punching. Obviously I don't want to get punched by Huey Fury, but in the heavyweight division, Huey Fury's a bit of a soft puncher. Should be able to deal with Samuel Peter. He's old. Should be able to deal with him. But yeah, that's I don't want to say novelty, but like it's when you hear Samuel Peter, I think it gives you like a little bit of a raised eyebrow, especially as he's a bit of a meme. So yeah, I might keep my eye on that. I will watch the Khan fight. Bit of a Khan fan. Obviously, I think he's seen better days, but I just want to see fun fights with Amir Khan. Do I want to see that Kell Brook fight? Been there, done that. If Khan took this fight, then took the Pacquiao fight and then retired, and never had that Kell Brook fight, doesn't matter to me. You don't have to have that Kell Brook fight to define your career. If you're Amir Khan, you've done enough to define your career as it is, to have had a respectable career, in my opinion. Then got on the 30th of July, so after the day after, Dubois Gorman, which I think is going to be a really good fight, and then Joe Joyce versus Bryant Jennings. What was it? Is it Sam Jones, his promoter, Joe Joyce, or what it is? He said that Bryant Jennings was going to get falafel wrapped. Now I've heard some smack talk from the promoters before, but that's one of the funniest. Falafel wrapped. I think it's because he's vegan, isn't he, Bryant Jennings? So, but I don't know why he had the promoter was just talking too much for Joe Joyce. So I think Joe Joyce can talk. He's I think he's a little bit quiet. Maybe he comes across a little bit nervous at times, but he's got a mouthpiece for himself, and when he talks, he's not bad at it. The juggernaut is going to run over him, I suppose. Bryant Jennings is decent for Oscar Rivas. Yafai's gone down. It seems to be. It's been called a no knockdown. I think it's been called a low blow. I'll have a look at that as it comes back up. But yeah, Joe Joyce. I quite like Joe Joyce. I quite like Joe Joyce. I think he's got really good skills, combinations for a heavyweight. I just think he's a little bit too open to getting hit. This guy is milking this low. He's like pounding the floor. Is he looking for like a DQ? Is this Amir Khan levels? Let's have a look at this. Yeah, it's low. It's low, but I don't know where it's low. If it's like legitimately just fully the thigh or anything else, I can't quite see it. The guy's back up. Fight's back on, so there's no milking of it, which is good. I mean, we're only 30 seconds away from him slapping the floor. But yeah. So yeah, I just think Joe Joyce is a little bit too open to get hit. And those combinations can oftentimes be a little bit slow. Whether the movement kind of picks up a little bit, or Joe Joyce kind of gets better with the opposition. I think maybe it's a little bit of that. But yeah, I'd like to see Joe Joyce now starting to get his name in the mix of actual contention for a title and kicking on, because he's getting on in terms of age. So I think he needs to start mixing in with that sort of higher level. Moving on to the week after, it's Dillian Whyte against Oscar Rivas, which I think is going to be a really good fight. Oscar Rivas is competitive. Dillian Whyte is a bit of a dog in the ring, and I mean that in like a really good way. He's a brawler, like a pit bull. I like watching Dillian Whyte fight. I think in terms of fighting for British fighters, especially at heavyweight level, he really kind of brought the excitement. There was no really boring fight from Dillian Whyte last year. He fought Lucas Brown. Yeah, he was expected to beat Lucas Brown, but he delivered a really vicious knockout. He then fought Chisora, which was a really, really good fight. Watched it back the other day, really entertaining. And then he fought Joseph Parker as well, which is a really, really good, entertaining fight. Parker rocked him in the 12th round, and maybe if Parker started a little bit earlier, he could have got Dillian Whyte out. But I like that about Dillian, because he's got his limitations, but he's also at the same time really good. Just seeing your five getting thrown to the floor. But yeah, he's got his limitations, but I think he's also really good, and I think he's good enough to be holding a belt, in my opinion. Whether he does, because there are really good fighters now coming through in the heavyweight division, or not even just coming through at the moment, with Fury, with Wilder, with Andy Ruiz Jr. Whether that he's just unfortunately a good fighter in a quite a good competitive era, which maybe means he won't get to hold the fight. But I'll be hoping he does finally win a belt, because I think he's definitely got the ability to do so. You got Derek. That's pay-per-view. Is Dillian Whyte pay-per-view? Maybe. I'm not too sure. Will I watch pay-per-view for that fight? I'm not. Will I pay pay-per-view fight for that fight? I'm not too sure. I might go watch it if like a pub or something like it has got it on. But you've got on there as well Derek Chisora versus Artur Szpilka. Szpilka's quite tricky. Last I saw of him, he was giving Wilder quite a few problems until Wilder eventually iced him. And iced him with a vicious knockout. I think Chisora and Szpilka is quite an even matchup, and it's not easy. Apparently they've got a bit of a history, because Chisora went over to film some scenes that Szpilka was in the film of. I'm not too sure what that was. Apparently he was only in for 15 seconds, but they're quote-unquote friends. So I don't know how that will play out. If there'll be any forced kind of tension between the two, but it seems to be the chief support to Dillian Whyte Rivas fight. Dave Allen versus David Price. We all know the David Allen story, or so it goes. That's a good fight as well. Now Dave Allen wants to kick on. He's had chance after chance and not come through. Apparently now he's taking it serious, and if you want to take it serious, then David Price, I don't want to disrespect him, but David Price has had his chance. Recently he got his chance against Povetkin. He landed a great punch, which for all intents and purposes, if there wasn't ropes, Povetkin's knocked down. Was it given a standing 8? I'm not too sure. Maybe it was. Might be getting a bit wrong there. But he had some successes against Povetkin, and then just got absolutely shut down. It looked like it was a system reboot from Povetkin to David Price, which is a shame, because Price was obviously a massive prospect. There was a lot of hype behind Price, and he just never quite reached that level after a certain number of rounds. He should have that ability to, hold, not fatigue, and kind of push on. But he's always just fatigued, or if it's nervousness, so he just looks absolutely out of it after a number of rounds, and it's just always held him back, I think, because he's pretty much got everything else. Like aesthetically, if you wanted to build a boxer in the heavyweight division and give him the attributes, you'd make him tall, you'd make him kind of lean, have the ability to have hold his feet, not be too muscly, have power, which David Price does have. Maybe footwork's not too great, but he does have pretty much everything you'd want aesthetically but he's just never been able to kick on really. And Dave Allen, if he wants to kick on, which he's now getting that opportunity, he has to beat David Price to move on, maybe to get fights against Ortiz again. I think Dave Allen did fight Ortiz. Let me just get the box rec up of Dave Allen as well. I'm pretty sure he did, unless I'm getting confused with someone else, and he just didn't kick on. So I'm not too sure if we're on live on the stream or not. So it's just gone down on my end. So I'm going to have to quickly double check this. See if everything on my end is working. So I can't turn that off. Let's have a quick look. For what it's worth, again, we are going into I think it's the 11th round of Leapai versus Jimenez. Everything on my end is working. Yeah, so I guess we are still on my end, which is good. Right, so yeah, 11th round of Leapai versus Jimenez. What else have we got whilst we're waiting for this? We're waiting for Parker, really. I want to see a bit of action and a bit of excitement. So the sooner this fight finishes, no disrespect to the fighters, the better, to be fair. What else is going on? So Chris Shields is going to have us in. Don't really know too much about that. Yeah, there isn't really too much kind of scheduled after that, really. Going into August. Unless I'm missing anything. That I think probably that weekend of Dubois Gorman will be pretty good, and then obviously the weekend from White, Chisor, White and Rivas, and then into Pacquiao Thurman would be really good. But that's probably the biggest thing. What's happened this week so far? Like Hara Davis fought Miguel Vasquez on IFL TV. That fight was very, very strange. Hara Davis, I don't know if he was injured coming into it, or he got injured during the fight from like a rib injury or something like that. But he held up the hand of Miguel Vasquez and shook his head, saying, I think he's trying to intimate that he wasn't worthy of the decision. And I think the overall consensus from what I read, being in the chat, was that Miguel Vasquez, Hara Davis got gifted the decision. I've not seen too much of Hara Davis myself, to be honest with you. And from what I did see in that fight, he's got to really kind of step up if he wants to kind of make something of himself in boxing. To be honest with you, super lightweight, which is a shame, because I thought he was kind of a name that you'd heard, and I thought he was a prospect coming through, but it seemed to kind of slow down. Richard Comey beat Ray Beltran, didn't by knockout. Haven't seen the fight myself. Don't know if it was a good fight, but I just know that he'd obviously won by who's fighting. So at the moment we've got Leapai versus Jimenez on the undercard. Then after that it's Parker versus Leapai, and then the main event being Andrade versus Sulecki. Then also on the other card tonight, which is happening at the same time, the main event is Charlo versus Adams. Be keeping an eye on both. It should be a good night of boxing. I'm probably mainly here to see Joseph Parker. Do quite like Parker in the fights that I've seen him. He's got a bit of a following in Britain. I think he's quite likable, and obviously he's back. A bit of a comeback to try and compete in the heavyweight division, but he'll have to come through Leapai He says that he's ready to kick on. I think he is. I'd love to see him in a few good fights this coming the year and the next year. He won't fight Tyson Fury, unfortunately, which I think would be a great fight, but they're obviously mates. But yeah, I think Parker. I like him. I like his fighting style. Obviously, he beat Andy Ruiz, who just beat Anthony Joshua. So that's gonna be if the rematch happens between Joshua and Ruiz, and then Ruiz comes through it. That rematch of Parker versus Ruiz I think that makes total sense, and that's kind of where I think the next fight will be made with Parker and Ruiz, and I think that would be a great fight. It was a good scrap the first time around. It's really close. Whether if Parker then managed to pick up those belts against Ruiz, it'd just be such a tit for tat, wouldn't it? And then you'd create that little triangle between those three heavyweights. But I think at that point, after if Ruiz Jr. was to beat AJ for the second time, I think the likes of Wilder and I think the likes of Tyson Fury throw money. They absolutely throw as much money as they can to Ruiz Jr. to get him to fight, because I think I'm not underestimating Ruiz in any kind of sense of the word, but I think they're very winnable fights for Wilder and especially Tyson Fury. So then you have probably those two back at the head, and then if you have Joshua winning that fight, then maybe you're back to square one. But hopefully, if that does happen, then that upset that happened to Joshua will give Eddie Hearn a kick up the arse to kind of say, let's make these fucking fights now. Let's stop trying to milk the cow and trying to milk the British audience and get these fights that we actually want to see, and get some legacy actually into Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury, whoever ends up winning out of the 3, 4, 5 top contenders in the division. But yeah, I mean that's for the future. It's supposed to be in September, I think, is what is being read what I've read at the moment. Oh, so apparently this is on ITV4, the Charlo Adams fight. I don't think obviously that makes too much difference if you're watching from America. It's on Showtime, but it's on terrestrial TV on ITV4, so I can get that up as well, which shouldn't be too much of an issue. So I can keep an eye on that one as well. There's a card in Liverpool. I think there's a cancelled card in Manchester, and I think some of those fighters that were on the cancelled card have been moved over to the Liverpool card. You got Rocky Fielding in there, Terry Flanagan, Martin Murray. That'll be quite. If they can get Callum Smith on there, I think that would help sell that fight as well, or at least the card. But I mean, Liverpool always turns up for fights. I was there in Liverpool for I'm probably going to get crucified for saying this, but I was there in Liverpool for the Collision course, which was Tony Bellew headlining against, I want to say his name's Nascimento, but I don't think it is Nascimento. But it was just some South American fighter. The reason I was there before I ended up getting crucified was to watch an up-and-coming Anthony Joshua in one of his, obviously, first fights. And I'll tell you now, I was there, and after Anthony Joshua fought, half the crowd left, which is really surprising, because you're in Liverpool, the headline fighter of the card, Tony Bellew, Liverpudlian. Then after, a Londoner comes off and fights, most of the crowd are gone. But I mean, it was decent. Liverpool do turn up. The fans are crazy for it, so they'll turn up for that one. The fight's just finished. Leapai versus Jimenez. The decision will be coming up imminently. Looked a decent scrap. Wasn't overly entertaining. Leapai seems to have come through, at least from what I saw, quite well. An official scorecard has Leapai winning 117 to 111. So handily, pretty much against his opponent. It seemed to have come through. So yeah, I mean, decent performance. Highlights come through. Nothing was overly. There was a left hook which wobbled Jimenez, but I mean, apart from that, the biggest highlight was probably the low blow. It looked borderline the first view in. Yeah, I mean, that also looks borderline as well. So, but I thought maybe Jimenez would probably milk it, but he didn't. Fair play to him. Can't blame him for that. Tony Yoka versus Alexander Dimitrenko is coming up on July 13th. Dimitrenko was beaten by Ruiz Jr. recently. Vargas v. Kameda. Shakur Stevenson is fighting soon. Teofimo Lopez versus Nakatani. If I'm correct, is Teofimo Lopez headlining that card, which I think would be the first time for Lopez. So I think they're trying to push him because he's quite entertaining. He obviously knocked out his opponents. America loves knockouts. And then he's got that little, the Fortnite dances and a little bit of that kind of bravado. Sometimes it's a little bit too much, when your opponent's knocked out and he's just stone cold on the floor to then be doing flips and backflips. I think maybe he needs to curtail that a little bit, or maybe just do it when the timing's right. But I think he could probably build a bit of an audience for himself. So if he's headlining that fight, that card, which I think he is, it could be a good Kickstarter for Teofimo Lopez to try and now build him up as a bit of a star of his own, which he's been doing himself, in all honesty. On that Pacquiao Thurman undercard, you've got Omar Figueroa versus Yordenis Ugas. Was that the Ugas that fought Sean Porter? And it was apparently a gift decision for Sean Porter. I'm pretty sure it was. Let's have a quick look. I haven't seen that fight personally myself, but I just heard that Ugas just got... Ugas versus Sean Porter. And apparently Sean Porter was just given that decision, which is a bit of a shame. These things happen, don't they? I think they wanted that Sean Porter Errol Spence fight, which is now apparently confirmed, I think, which will be a great fight. I think Sean Porter is one of them that he can get outboxed. Kell proved that, and Errol Spence is more than the ability to outbox someone like Sean Porter. But Sean Porter's tricky. Sean Porter's really tricky. If the fight turns Sean Porter's kind of way, where it gets messy, which Errol Spence will have to try and avoid, then that's kind of the way Sean Porter kind of tends to win fights. I'm not trying to put him down in any way, because I think he does have boxing ability as well, but I think that's the way he comes through that fight, if he's going to come through it. And Errol Spence will have to... Alright, so your fight's getting booed because it's apparently quite heavy Dominican crowd, and the fellow who's fighting was Dominican as well. So second fight for Leapai in America. He's calling out Chocolatito, Rungvisai, Estrada. Chocolatito might be probably the sensible way to go, considering Chocolatito's on the decline, but he's held that division for so many years. Estrada could make sense because he's just recently signed to DAZN, or signed for Eddie Hearn at least, so that could be the fight that could be easily made. And then Rungvisai, I think Rungvisai, sorry, he's probably on decline, but I think he's just got too much volume, at least on this showing for Leapai. But maybe again Leapai picks it up as well himself. Peter, yes. If this is I've currently got on the Sulecki and Andrade fight. We just finished the Leapai fight, so the Parker fight will be next. And hoping there's not too many float overs, or there's a bit of a delay, which there probably is, because I imagine ring walks will be 5 a.m. I'm hoping I'm not that having to stay up that late. It's already 3:10 here. We then will have the Sulecki and Andrade fight. We'll be keeping an eye on the Charlo Adams fight as well, but we will be for the main. It's the Andrade Sulecki fight that I'll be keeping an eye on. Let me know what you think. If you think Andrade's gonna knock this guy out, which is probably the most likely thing, or you think Sulecki might spring an upset. Possible. What with what's gone on with Joshua, it's kind of flipped my kind of thinking on these sort of things, and of course J-Rock and Jarrett Hurd as well. Year of the underdog, that might be a little bit premature, but it's in the realm of possibility. Peter, I'm not gonna zoom in on the fight. If that's what you're here for, I appreciate that, but that's not what I'm gonna do. So if you're gonna go outside, that's fair enough. But I won't be doing. I'll just be reacting to it. But fair enough. If that's what you're there for, you're probably able to find it on YouTube. But I won't be doing that. So there's Gervonta Davis fight coming up as well on July 27th. Hasn't Gervonta Davis vacated? Don't know where he's going. Don't know who he's trying to. Well, I know he's trying to avoid, but his career, man. I remember when he first burst onto the scene. I thought he looked brilliant. He looked really, really good. I was really excited to watch him, and then he's just kind of stagnated a bit. Unfortunately, I think he's a really talented fighter. Gervonta Davis is. I just want to see more of him. I just want to see him more active. I want to see him in good fights. Maybe 2020 is the year for Gervonta Davis. Hopefully it is. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, apart from that, really, there's not too much going on. It's just fights that we're looking forward to kind of happening. Tyson Fury, he's got a fight coming up. I think he wants to fight in, I think it's November. It was said, or at least later on in the year. And they're talking about Jarrell Miller maybe making sense. Does Jarrell Miller's ban kind of expire? Peter, a little bit disappointing, but thanks for being fair. I understand. If you can get the fight, then yeah, watch it by all means. That's what boxing's for. But I'll just be here talking about it. In all honesty. But yeah, they're talking about Tyson Fury's talking about fighting Jarrell Miller. Does his ban expire? I'm not sure. Do you avoid Jarrell Miller? I don't know, because Jarrell, he can talk. Jarrell Miller's he's brilliant at talking, to be fair. He was selling that fight for me against Anthony Joshua. When I first saw Anthony Joshua versus Jarrell Miller being announced, I was a little bit like, I don't really care. This is another easy fight for Joshua to come through. And then I was watching those press conferences, and I loved the troll in Jarrell that was getting into the skin of Joshua. That's how I saw it. I really loved that side of him, and then he just kind of fucked it really by. He's gone back. He said, didn't take this, and he said he's owned up to it, and now he's saying, this is actually what happened. I've read numerous things about it. I think he just needs to hold his hands up and then rebuild his career. Tyson Fury went past him. I saw it was on IFL interview or something like that, and he said just go through what you got to do and focus on yourself. Well, if that's what you got to do, and Tyson Fury's kind of putting in the seeds to fight in Jarrell Miller, that's going to be a really good fight, and that will build that'll build Tyson Fury in the USA onto the next level. I'd really love to see that. Tyson Fury can hang with all the talkers. I think Tyson Fury would get under Jarrell Miller's skin, and it would be really entertaining, that build-up. And I think it would be a great fight. I think obviously Tyson Fury comes through it quite easily. Jarrell's really limited. I've seen what he's been able to do in kickboxing. I've seen what he's able to do in some boxing fights as well. And he's just not there. But for what he is, an American, a heavyweight, and a big talker, the fight sells itself, in my opinion. So if you're new here, please do subscribe to the channel. I've got a boxing series that's dropping tomorrow. If you're a fan of boxing from a number of years ago, a TV series that I think we've all kind of seen, I'll be covering that, putting in a load of jokes, dropping some memes in there. First video comes out tomorrow. I've worked on it quite a bit. I think it's a little bit funny, a little bit different to what's out there at the moment. I'm really excited to drop it out, and it comes out tomorrow. So I do hope you subscribe and then get the opportunities to watch that. I will be covering some live streams for fights, as well as covering kind of the weirder side of boxing, and also the current affairs, because I do kind of get involved in that as well. But tonight we've got the heavyweight. Oh, sorry, not the heavyweight. The heavyweight just come out for an advert for White versus Rivas. Tonight we've got Andrade versus Sulecki, which I think should be good. It should be a good scrap. Sulecki's shown he was able to scrap. It was against Rosado. Rosado's limited, but Andrade's. If he wants those Golovkin fights, if he wants those big fights, you got to come through someone like Sulecki. So if you can beat him in impressive fashion, then maybe you get that opportunity to set up the Golovkin fight. Andrade's got something that Golovkin might want to set up that Canelo fight in turn, which is the WBO middleweight title. So, I mean, even if and then the other way, flip reverse, is that if Andrade doesn't look good, then that opens the door a bit more for Golovkin wanting to fight him, because I think these sort of things that happen tend to help those fights get made. Because Golovkin's Asian, you don't want a dangerous opponent too much if you're trying to build a legacy, especially when you've signed on for a multi-fight, multi-million-dollar deal with the zone. You don't want those slip-ups, and you want that Canelo fight in that deal. So yeah, if that Andrade fight does eventually get made, I don't know. They're now doing the ring walks for Parker versus Leapai, which is good. I'm glad that that's now coming straight on. On my end, the stream's just showing that it's not receiving data for the encoder, so I'll just check. We're back up again. That's good. But good news is the ring walk now for Leapai, Parker versus Leapai is on. Leapai's just coming into the ring now. Excuse me. If you're in the chat, let me know what you think of Parker and Leapai. Parker surely is gonna finish off Leapai in a few rounds, I'd imagine. Obviously in the heavyweight division shit can happen, but I think Parker's got enough. I like Parker's style. I like the way Parker fights. He's got a punch on him, so he should be able to beat someone of Leapai's ability. Parker's now doing his ring walk. It's a good team. Coming out to We Will Rock You, which seems to be a favourite of fighters. I swear you hear the same songs every now and again in boxing. You'll hear We Will Rock You, you'll hear Seven Nation Army, which is my least favourite song on the ring walks. You'll hear Can't Be Touched, Can't Be Rocked, sorry, which is fair. To be fair, that's a classic. That's by Roy Jones Jr. If fighters come out to that, I don't really blame them. It's a great song. But yeah, stuff like this, stuff like We Will Rock You, stuff like Seven Nation Army. Can't stand Sweet Caroline. I can't stand it when fighters come out to that sort of stuff beforehand. But yeah, well, I suppose We Will Rock You isn't too bad, to be fair. But this Parker Leapai fight is happening imminently. Parker's just got into the ring. He's got a bit of a stare and looks intense. Leapai looks like he's here to pick up a paycheck, if I may say so. Don't blame him. Dunkin' Donuts Center. I wouldn't mind a fucking Dunkin' Donut myself right now. Yeah, so that's it. As I alluded to earlier, if you were here in the stream, it's Samoan versus Samoan. Samoan's got a massive reputation of being proper fucking hard knocks. Warriors, having that warrior code, and just absolute brawlers. So it should be interesting. I don't think there'll be an ounce of quit in either of them, I'd imagine. I've probably thought the same thing about Anthony Joshua, but yeah, there should be an ounce of quit in either of these two. I don't know too much about Leapai. I know that he's been around for quite a while. I know there's not an ounce of quit in Joseph Parker. I think Parker will probably look to get in the inside. I think he'll probably finish him off by getting into the inside. That's how I see it. If I'm going to put a prediction, I'm going to say 3 rounds. Parker finishes him on the inside from a left hook body shot. That's what I'll go for. Such a shame with Parker. Like I said, he's quite likable. And that fight with Joshua, man, I mean... Yeah, I mean, with Joshua, he just... that Italian ref just... If that was by design, then fair play to Eddie Hearn. They got it through and it was agreed to, so they got that Italian ref. But he just didn't allow for any inside fighting at all. Whenever it got to a clinch or any kind of semblance of the inside, it just was broken up straight away, which just kind of takes so much from Parker's game. And Anthony Joshua just isn't, renowned for his inside fighting. I think Parker's got quite a bit about him when it comes to that. He wasn't able to get off in that aspect, which is just a bit of a shame that happened. With Chisora, with the White fight, that was just a great scrap. Because both of them were able to get on the inside. Both of them had successes. Both of them had knockdowns. They were both exciting. Both showed their ability. Both showed their chins. Both were just throwing heavy bombs. It was great. So yeah, I like Parker in that sort of aspect. There was just the attempt to try and make the Chisora fight, which I think would have been a good fight as well. And I think Parker has more than enough to beat Chisora. I like Chisora. I think he's kind of seemed to be getting better and better. He's a bit of an older fighter, but I think Parker would have had a bit too much for him. This fight just started, round 1. Excuse me. With Leapai coming forward and putting Parker on the back foot. Leapai looks a little bit slow, cumbersome. I think I know the way this is going. So I see this 3 rounds. I give this 3 rounds. So Parker's throwing the combinations, throwing a lot of punches, and Leapai's covering up. He's covering up well. Nothing's really going through too much. I don't know. Nothing's getting through. The commentators are saying he's got to hold and got to get through this, but nothing's gone through. So I think Leapai had a lot of the defense, and his defense was pretty certain, pretty sure. A body shot got through, which looked like it really hurt. But yeah. Leapai's walking forward, coming through that little combination. Parker's now getting on the back foot. He might have expended a little bit too much energy there as they clinch and it gets broken up by the ref. Leapai putting a lot of pressure on Parker at the moment, forcing him onto the back foot and onto the ropes. Parker obviously seems quite assured. I like the goatee. I like the goatee Parker's rocking. That's cool. Working on the inside now, and Leapai shoots a uppercut to the body. Parker gets off a shot and then leans onto Leapai. Overhand right, wing and overhand right from Leapai. Sounded like it landed, but it might have just got caught on the gloves. Parker with a 6-punch combination. And then finds his range off on the back foot against Leapai. But backs off onto the ropes and they clinch. Decent action so far in this first round. But not a lot has gone through, which is shows that Leapai's got a bit of durability about him. Which is good. You don't always want to walk over an opponent, especially when Parker's coming off a bit of a layoff. That was a solid shot that got through. A solid uppercut and then left hook got through as well. As Leapai leaps in with a left hook. Left hook to the body. Good body work from Leapai. And then they clinch again. So round 1 ends. So I see this going 3 rounds as a predicted pre-fight. So we're on target with that. Leapai looks alright at this juncture. It's really early, but he looks solid when he's coming forward. He comes forward. He holds his guard quite well. When Parker shoots off his combinations, I think just Leapai's obviously Parker's just gotta work the body as much as he can, and that's probably the way to get Leapai out there. But first round looks like it'll be a good scrap. If this goes on further, this looks like it'll be a good scrap between the two of them. Good heavyweight slug out. So yeah, better than what we saw in the last fight. Parker wins that round pretty easily, if anyone's wondering, keeping score. Bell for second round rings, and we start. We're just still seeing the highlights. Good sneaky uppercut on the inside from Parker. Was replayed. Excuse me. Solid body shot. See, this is the ref we needed, or a ref like this we needed against Parker and Joshua. Not that fucking whoever the hell that was last time round. Great body shot again. Goes to the head and finishes off to the body in just 2-punch combination. But it's fast and really good from Parker. Oh, might have even been low. Yeah, looks like it was low. I didn't see it being low, but Leapai is literally looks like he's holding his bollocks, and it's showing his low. He's back in though. He didn't take that 5-minute rest that he could have had. I thought that was fine. Hopefully we'll see on the replay if that was low or not, but he didn't make too much of a meal of it, did Leapai. Leapai goes in with a left hook and then uppercut. Bit of a strange combo. Triple jab from Leapai. A right hook goes in and then followed up by an uppercut from Parker. Parker's digging to the body now. An uppercut as well. So Leapai's shooting the 1 and 2 punches combinations, sometimes the 3, whereas then Parker works with flurries and will often come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 punches, combination punches. Obviously, I'm not calling it like this is going to be a close fight in any means, but I'm just saying that's how it's the way the fight's going at the moment. But Leapai's applying the pressure. He keeps coming forward. He hasn't taken a step back just yet, and he's trying to push Parker towards the ropes, not in any aggressive fashion, in a very slow, like think of a George Foreman. Think of a George Foreman, then stuck in mud. That's how slow we're talking. Parker turns Leapai back onto the ropes, and then they clinch. And then he works to the body, gets an uppercut in, gets a right and left hook in on Leapai. This might be where left hook gets in. 15 seconds of the round. A left hook comes back from Leapai, so he's showing he's still got some in there. 10 seconds around left in round 2, so he should get through it. For the most part, those punches did get through, but they didn't seem like they they rocked Leapai. So the third round, this is where I predict that this fight ends. It looks like I could be wrong. It looks like Leapai's a little bit more durable than 3 rounds, but we'll see. Parker was turning it on a little bit and kind of pushing it a little bit more, so maybe. But he's split from David Higgins now, hasn't he? Or not split, but he's Higgins is now his manager or consultant or something like that, and then Hearn is his promoter. A bit of a weird situation. I think being with Hearn will get him the better fights. It gives him options in the matchroom stable. They've got a few fighters at heavyweight besides Anthony Joshua. They're working relationships with the fights at heavyweight, including Dillian White. So that rematch is there. A great fight. I'd love to see that again. But White isn't calling for that at all. It's the one name he doesn't really mention. I don't think he's avoiding him. I think White will fight anyone, 100%. Leapai gets in with a left hook as bell for the round rings for round 3. Right, timeout is called. Apparently there was another low blow. A bit booze from the crowd here. I think Leapai's taken a little bit more time than needed the first time around for the low blow, if it was a low blow. Although Leapai seems ready. Parker has a word with Leapai just there. I don't know what he said. Right, so I think if I'm right, then Parker will stop Leapai this round. Uppercut from Leapai and ends with a left hook. Leapai comes out with a shell with a left hook as well. Parker's just trying to work the jab, find his range. A little bit peekaboo because Parker's trying to pull with the jab, not to expend any energy, and trying to force Leapai out of it. And when Leapai does come out, he tries to wing in with a wide left hook, which obviously Parker then dodges and then tries to work some combinations. It's kind of going that kind of way. Parker leads with an uppercut, which doesn't come off at all. So we're halfway through this third round, and I don't think my prediction's coming through, unfortunately. Let's just see if I'm still going on here. Just on my end, it's showing that I'm coming back. Yep, we're good. So on my side, just need to give this a little bit of a reload before I get back on, as this is just frozen. But yeah, I mean, so far there's no real stress for Parker at the moment. So yeah, as it comes to the final minute of the third round, it looks like Parker's going to be going a few more rounds than just the 3 that I'd said. Leapai's proven to be durable. Can't see it going that much longer. Towards the end of the rounds, it's when Leapai sort of tires. And then Parker can get off more work, backs him up onto the ropes. He's winging in with these kind of not Hail Mary type of shots, but he's loading up on these shots. Left hooks, right hooks, uppercuts. As Leapai just rests on the ropes, tries to move. I mean, he's got a good guard, but then his guard after that is his head, and he's taking a little bit, starting to take it more cleanly, which is going to prove to be the thing. I think this will probably end up a knockout. Well, it has to. If you're just a Parker, you've got to be able to dispose of Leapai. Leapai makes it through the third round. Fair play to him. Got my respect there. I mean, you had my respect before, obviously. Before the fight. Any boxer that gets into the ring has my respect. But for going through the 3 rounds, fair play to you. Alex Leapai, box rec. 32 wins, 26 by way of knockout, 7 losses. He's been knocked out 3 times. So he fought Manuel Char and he lost by unanimous decision. Alright. He fought Malik Scott and he lost by unanimous decision. He fought Klitschko in 2014 and lost by knockout. I think maybe I'm not giving not giving Leapai the credit maybe he deserves, and maybe underselling how durable he is, because he's been able to go rounds with the likes of Char. This was in 2015 though. We're 4 years removed from this. Yeah, he's durable. Gotta be said of that. It's 39. I don't know. Like I have an opinion that, and I don't know if you agree with me. I think that when you get to the age of 40, I think maybe mandatorily you shouldn't be able to box, or you shouldn't be boxing anymore. You shouldn't be able to have a license to box, especially at heavyweight, 40-year-old heavyweights. Maybe the science isn't there. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I just think the risk that you're taking at that age to fight and take that damage potentially. I don't know if that sits well with me, wanting to see fighters after the age of 40 or near the age of 40 wanting to fight. But hey, that's just my opinion. I don't know if I truly stand by it. It's something that I've been thinking about, whether I'd want to see, these older fighters in the ring. Some of them have been able to do really well. I think Klitschko was obviously past 40 when he fought Anthony Joshua, or at least around that age. And nothing too damaging has come out from Klitschko. But yeah, it's just when I see fighters coming on in age and still fighting, I'm a bit about it, to be honest with you. Parker now finding his range, and he's been able to fake going in with certain punches and then land the right instead. At times, I don't know. At times, I don't know if it's just me, or this maybe the lack of quality I've got on my phone from where I'm watching it from. But Leapai looks like a mini George Foreman at times. An old mini George Foreman in the ring. Not in style, but just how he looks. Every so often the camera angle kind of shifts and you think like, oh, is that Big George in the ring again? So they're just shown Andrade. I don't know if it's Andrade or Andrade. I'm going to go with Andrade from now on. But just an Andrade in the ring, in the backstage. Oh, they're loading up with the left hooks. At the moment, it's W. Wallace. It's Parker vs Leapai. Parker obviously winning the rounds, but it's a decent scrap, to be honest with you. But the main event will be Andrade versus Sulecki. I'll be keeping an eye on the Charlo versus Adams fight as well. But at the moment, I've got on the Andrade versus Sulecki undercard. Yeah, so they've shown Andrade in the backstage warming up. So hopefully this isn't a 5 a.m. thing and the Andrade fight is like, max 10 minutes after this one, which would be great. And then maybe we can switch on to the Charlo versus Adams undercard. Just see where we are with that undercard. See what fight we're on. Deontay Wilder's brother, Marcellus Wilder, had a comeback and he won his comeback. That's on the undercard of the Charlo fight, apparently. Obviously, that beef between Brazil happened, and that led to the that fight. Oh, you're just here for the Parker fight? Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, Parker's... I'm pretty much just here for the Parker fight as well, to be honest with you. I don't know too much about Andrade, but yeah, Parker's... Obviously, he's coming through this really well. he should be able to put away someone like Leapai. But Leapai is really durable. I've not been giving him much credit, to be fair. I thought this would finish in 3 rounds. But he's really durable. He keeps coming forward, even though he's taking... The fight's on right now. Parker's on right now. He's currently in the ring. It's round 5. Still working some combinations off on Leapai as we speak. Leapai just keeps coming forward. Parker doesn't... I don't know if it's the punching ability or he's just not gone to the body enough for me to really kind of hurt Leapai at the moment. But I think he will break him down. I still see this guy ending up in the stoppage. It might be one of those things where it's a referee stoppage. Because he just... Yeah, the commentators are picking up as well. He can't win the fight. He's not going to be able to win this fight. Oh, so Leapai goes down. They're calling it a slip. I don't know. I thought I saw a left hook, or at least Parker motioned to throw a left hook in there. That'll be cleared up, obviously, in the replay. But what's been ruled as a slip has just happened. But they're saying the commentator's picking up. He's not going to be able to win the fight. He can't win the fight. So this might be one of those things where it's a succession of punches which leads to the referee, unanswered punches which leads to the referee stopping the fight. But I mean, at the moment, Leapai's still there. Full credit to him. And I think this is probably what, in the whole, this is probably what Parker needs after quite a bit of a layoff, coming back straight and then just knocking someone out. You probably need a round. So if Parker does end up going the rounds, then good for him. To be fair. So whilst this is in intermission, I'm going to check what fight we were on the undercard of the Charlo Adams fight. Just missed it, and they're saying that it was just after a decent right hook, I believe they said, that the slip happened. So if it was part of it, I didn't quite get to see it. It just came in after, unfortunately. But for me in the first viewing, it looked like Park, that was a legitimate knockdown. But I'll have to see that again. So if you're new here, please do please do subscribe to the channel. Drop a like on the stream as well. I'll be doing a lot more live streams. I've got a new boxing video coming up tomorrow, which I'm dropping, which is a look back on a certain part of boxing. I've put in some jokes, I've put in some memes, I've brought out the highlights there. I'm really looking forward to dropping that and you guys watching it. I think it should be really good. So I hope you guys do stick around for that. But right now we've got the Parker Leapai fight on. Leapai got him with a really good right hook. Actually, Leapai tries to get in with the right and then shoot an uppercut, which is really quite interesting. He hasn't been able to land it just yet. If he does land it, that'll be something to see. To be fair, but he hasn't been able to land it just yet. It's just an interesting way of coming in. I've never tried that myself. Might have to try it in the next spar that I do. Parker looking comfortable. Leapai's putting on this is the story of the fight. Parker's looking really comfortable. Leapai's putting on the pressure. It's not really any concerted or kind of any effective pressure, but it's just kind of, in the basic term, coming forward very slowly, plodding forward. His guard's low, pushing Parker slowly back towards the ropes. Parker pushes back with a couple of combinations. A couple of winging shots there from Leapai as he comes in with the jab to the body, an overhand right and a left hook, which they both miss wildly. Parker looks to just jab, find some range, come in with combinations, hits a 1-2. They all seem to get partially blocked and partially land as well, which hasn't really affected Leapai in any kind of way, shape or form. But it's probably a succession of punches which is going to do it. no fear of it getting stopped just yet. If it's by the corner stopping it because they're just seeing the fight and not having any success, that might be the option, the way this ends. The referee doesn't really have a job to do at the moment because it's nothing sustained really from Parker too much. And we're halfway through the fight, so we're in round 6. We'll see how the tail end of the fight, or at least the second half of the fight goes. But par for the course, really. Forgive the pun a little bit, but yeah, par for the course as round 6 ends. All rounds are going to Parker. Right, so Sulecki's been shown backstage on the pads, and when they were on the pads working up, it should hopefully mean and tell that the fight's coming up straight away, straight after this, which is really good. That Sulecki Rosada fight was really, really good. I enjoyed watching that. Fight of the Year candidate, potentially. But I enjoyed watching it. It's not really early for a Fight of the Year. Yeah, you could probably put that in the Fight of the Year at the moment. Definitely worth it. It was great entertainment in that fight. If you can watch it back, definitely do, because I really enjoyed it. So, on the ITV4 at the moment, just switched that on. They're just showing Charlo and J-Rock. Sorry, yeah, Charlo and J-Rock at the moment. So I don't think any of that fight will be happening pretty soon. So we're able to get to that fight as well. In fact, actually, it looks like at the moment that the card of Sulecki and Andrade is, at least the arena looks a lot more sold out than the arena for the Charlo Adams fight, which is a little bit interesting to me. I would have thought they would have been about the same. I mean, it's still the undercard. They're probably maybe only turning up solely for Charlo. But I would have thought they would both been quite represented evenly. Messy and uninspiring. It's one of them where I think it's because of the nature of the opponent. Not that he's doing anything to stop Parker, just because it's someone like Leapai. I think Parker's not like, turning it on. That's why. But Leapai's just not really offering anything. Parker's been able to get 3 with 1-2s. The 1-2 has just been the most successful thing for Parker so far. So he could literally just 1-2 his way through to the victory and not get tagged at all. Yeah, that probably is a bit uninspiring. But when you've come in from such a layout, then hell yeah, I mean, go for it. So as far as I can see, if I'm right, then that's, yeah. So we've also got right now the Brandon Adams versus Charlo fight. Brandon Adams is making his ring walk to the ring. So I've got both fights up. I've got Parker on my right, and I've got Brandon Adams versus Charlo on my left. So I'm able to keep an eye on both of the fights. As this fight is heading into the 7th round, there's 5 rounds left, well, 4 rounds left. And this is a little bit kind of dragging on. I'll focus on my attention a little bit more to Charlo versus Adams, but I'll keep you updated with both of them as Brandon Adams gets into the ring. So as I switch my attention to this fight, I think that what with Charlo's recent performances, both of them, the brothers, and Brandon, I think this is going to be a little bit more of a difficult fight than what it might be perceived. Brandon Adams, if you watch the new series of The Contender, I won't spoil it for you, but he had a good showing in the new Contender series. He showed that he was a very capable fighter. He's he's quite likable as well. I quite like to listening to Brandon Adams. I liked his attitude. He's now teamed up with. He's got his long-term coach, but he's brought in Freddie Roach for this fight, which is a really big get for someone like Brandon Adams. Whether Freddie Roach has been able to work with him, as Freddie Roach has quite a few fighters, as everyone knows. Whether Freddie Roach has been able to work with him and make kind of those changes to bring him onto a new level, we'll see. Against someone like Charlo, to do that against him will be a statement and a half. But yeah, how much he's able to do, not too sure. But having Freddie Roach in your corner, you'd rather have him than not have him, wouldn't you? So yeah, recently you've got people like he's lost against William Monroe Jr., who is at B level. Unanimous decision loss. I didn't watch the fight personally. He got knocked out by Josh Thompson. I haven't seen those fights, but what I have seen from Brandon Adams on The Contender. He's very much capable. This isn't a limited fighter by any means. Whether Charlo's a step too much for him, I'm not sure. But here's your opportunity, Brandon Adams. You've got a champion. As Charlo walks into the ring, you've got someone you can make a statement against. Parker is, again, the story of the fight so far is Leapai slowly walks Parker down towards the ropes, and then from the ropes he tries to get in a combination or two, mainly throwing just single shots. And then when he kind of tires, Parker then is able to throw some combinations, work with the 1 or 2 which he's had the most success with. It's really comfortable, really comfortable, Joseph Parker. Is it anything special? No, not at all. I've seen Parker perform a lot better than this. But again, like I said, getting those rounds in, being a bit conservative, might be the way to go for. As I have a weird looking bug on my laptop, which is just gone now. Might be the way for Parker to go, as he's had a long layoff, as I've said before. So I can't begrudge him this sort of fighter and this sort of fight. There are better things to come from Parker. Moving on, and this is just one of those fights he has to get through. It's a decent name. He's doing it, and yeah, no slip ups, no bananas. What more can you say, really? So far, anyway. So far, that's what I can say. So far. So I'm just going to pull up the Charlo and Brandon Adams fight as they're moving on to the ring walks. Let's get this up.
Rounds, it's a no decision. After 4 rounds, they go to the scorecard.
Let's pull that down. Mauro Ranallo on the pulling the commentary. Love Ranallo. He's probably my favourite commentator out there. A commentary team of Ranallo and Malignaggi would be just fantastic. I think I've heard it a couple of times. But yeah, Ranallo my favourite by far. Jimmy Lennon Jr. I like Jimmy Lennon Jr. as well. I mean, Michael Buffer is the legend, but I do like Jimmy Lennon Jr. as well. He's calling the fight, announcing the fighters in. Yeah, Freddie Roach in the corner. Some guy that looked like Eminem. Pretty sure it wasn't Eminem, but some guy that looked like Eminem in the corner as well of Brandon Adams. Don't see the other Charlo brother there. He's probably sitting down in the crowd, to be fair. Yeah, that guy doesn't look like Eminem at all. What am I on about? So yeah, if you're just in here, we have the main event of Andrade versus Sulecki coming in after the Parker fight. And then right now is the Charlo versus Adams fight. I'll be keeping an eye on both of them, letting you know what's happening. The Parker fight is coming towards its culmination in the end. We're in round 9, so there's 4 rounds to go, including this one. So 3 full rounds left to go. It hasn't been overly entertaining. It's been alright, decent scrap. But we'll move on to keep an eye on both of them. But as the Charlo Brandon Adams fight starts, which is the main event of the other card, we'll be keeping a bit more of an eye on this one. But they're just doing the introductions for Brandon Adams. 21-2 with 30 knockouts. He's a boxer by all intents and purposes, and he's boxed well. I've seen him box well on the Contender. I mean, if you've seen that series, I thought Keytrov would have been the favourite, and no spoilers, but that fight, Adams showed quite a lot of what he was capable to do. But he does have losses on the record. I'm not in the camp of, if you've had losses on the record, that you should be counted out, or you shouldn't have the support, or you shouldn't think that someone should be able to, you shouldn't think that someone with losses on the record can go on to win championships. I think the undefeated moniker is too overplayed, and it doesn't mean what it might have meant before. I think Floyd Mayweather kind of ushered in that sort of era of the undefeated, meaning that you mean something. I just don't think that's the case at all. So I wouldn't write off anyone like Brandon Adams. Jamal Charlo's got that power. He has the ability to just shut you down. And for what it's worth, Adams looks a lot smaller. I think they're weighed in just about the same weight, but coming out the next day, whether you're able to put that weight back on and whether this is they're around the same weights, don't know. I suppose you'll never know, but yeah, it should be a good scrap. This one as well. I said that about the Parker fight. This round for the Parker Leapai fight, it goes the exact same way as pretty much round 2 onwards, really. More of the same sort of stuff. Crowd are still into it. I mean, they're not booing. I would have, if this was in Britain, the crowd by now would have been booing this for the lack of any real kind of action. It's just a bit of a. They say in football, like when matches are being won really easy, it turns into training exercises. Well, this is the boxing comparison of that. It's literally just a training exercise for Parker at the moment. Leapai's offering nothing to be overly competitive, or he's just doing enough to maybe stay in there and not get pulled out. But he's not being damaged in any sort of sense to be pulled out on the other end from Parker. So Charlo versus Adams kicks off. Round 1 starts. And yeah, it'll be a little bit tentative at the moment from both those fighters. Adams showing different levels here. Up and down, bending at the knees, pouring out the jab. Charlo got the Hublot on his shorts. Getting those Hublot watches like Golovkin's got.
So you just say don't throw your left hand, just leave the right hand. Because it's seen it make the left hand first.
We're into the 10th round on the Parker versus Leapai fight. Looks like it's going the full 12. Looks like Leapai showing the durability that he's showing for his record. I thought it'd finish in 3, but proven to be a tougher test for Parker. Charlo's pushing Adams towards the back of the ropes. Nothing's really landed from either fighters. No one's really thrown any kind of telling punches to look to kind of mount any offense. It's all been kind of trying to feel each other out, trying to get the range. But for the most part, in this first round, Brandon Adams is being pushed to push the ropes while Charlo takes the center of the ring. The commentators for the Parker fight call it a stinker, which is I mean, I don't think the strict DAZN commentators will be calling this a stinker. I don't think they can. But I mean, these are Sky Sports commentators. As Parker puts in more pressure, maybe looking to, up the work rate, maybe put away Leapai. This fight has been called a stinker. Charlo wings in with a couple of lefts and rights. Those hooks, they all miss. Adams is able to duck out of the way. If it was a New York crowd, they'd be throwing things by now. If it was a British crowd, it might be the same as well. Yeah. It's not been the most entertaining fight for the crowd. But they haven't booed. They've stayed with it, to be fair to him. Adams jumps in with a left hook jab to get out the way of being pushed back onto the ropes, which is pretty good. Gets caught a little bit with one. And now takes the center ring and pushes Charlo towards the back ropes. Bit of a nothing round. So Parker has stopped the fight. Parker has won the fight by stoppage, referee stoppage. I think just because there was not so much coming through, but enough was coming through to get the stoppage. Leapai wasn't doing enough to answer back. He was just coming forward, taking the punches, giving nothing real back competitively. If that's enough, it's the edge of being able to, as a referee, stop the fight in him stopping the fight, if you get what I mean. Because there wasn't really, in the traditional sense of stopping a fight, there wasn't really that. There wasn't any domination. There just wasn't any competitiveness from Leapai, I think. But yeah, Parker wins by referee stoppage in I believe that was the 10th round. It wasn't going anywhere from Leapai at all. So yeah, Parker comes back from a bit of a layoff with a win against Fessimo and Leapai. And whilst we wait for the Andrade fight to come on in the post-fight interviews, we move on to the Charlo fight, which is in the second round against Adams. For the first round, it was a bit tentative. Nothing really landed from either of them. Probably score it in an even round. Maybe you give effective aggression a little bit to Charlo. Charlo lands with a right hook there as Adams comes in and they clinch. Adams clinches a couple times to stop Charlo getting in some combinations on the inside. So it looks like at the moment Charlo's loading up on the right as Adams kind of ducks to his it's his right, and Charlo's trying to land in with the right as well, and it looks like that might be able to time that. But Adams is trying to, whilst he's getting backed up onto the ropes, kind of push and clinch and get back to the center of the ring, buy himself some time, but he's getting walked down from the main. You can see that Charlie's got the longer arms, and that reach might end up telling. The bigger man, longer arms, looks musclier. Good. Charlo got in with a bit of a jab and then was able to duck the offense from... Sorry, Adams got in with a bit of a jab and was able to duck the offense of Charlo. Did it again there. He's able to tag him, and then when Charlo comes back, he's able to get out of dodge. Can he do that for 12 rounds? I'm not too sure. Good defense from Adams. So Adams showing his boxing ability here, in being able to get a punch in and then just move out the way, which is really good. The height might be a bit of a problem for for Charlo in the early rounds. Yep, round 10, TKO stoppage for Leapai as it's confirmed and read out. Adams feints with a jab to the body and gets a jab into the head of Charlo, but then Charlo responds and kind of jacks the jaw a little bit. It wasn't a massive punch, but it definitely connected on Adams quite cleanly. But Adams showing good movement, really good movement. He's able to duck and slip in and then try and throw off the combination. I think that's just a Charlo round, just about. So I'd say that's two. Charlo's probably 2 rounds up, but that was really close. That was really, really close. They're showing highlights of the Jamel Charlo versus Kota fight. Kota, by all intents and purposes, was very much overmatched. Gets a bit of a highlight reel knockout for Jamel in coming back after his loss. It's probably something you needed, maybe having a bit of a tune-up. Why the referee allowed the fight to continue after the knockdown, as Kota just got up, wasn't defending anything, and just took literally 2 clean punches. Referee should have stopped that before that even happened, but he got the knockout.
Did you make any changes throughout this fight, knowing that he probably wasn't going to go down off 1 or 2 shots?
I just had to be patient and pick my shot.
Charlo gets him with a good body shot. Referee comes in to say something about not ducking in with or leading with the shoulder. But Charlo's having difficulty in being able to pin down Adams. He gets him to the ropes, and Adams shows good levels, changes his levels, ducks down, and he's able to show good footwork and get round Charlo. But he's just not hitting him back enough with anything or anything telling. Any jabs that Adams gets in, he's able to sometimes connect to the head or the body. But then the other jabs that he does to get out of being backed up to the ropes just kind of land on the gloves. Yeah, again there. It's able to tag him. It's actually a really good jab, but it's not going to slow down Charlo at all. Parker's talking about avenging his losses, so against Joshua and against White, and talking about obviously Andy Ruiz having those fights. So again, 3 good fights available for Parker. I don't think he'll get any of those fights next. I think there'll be another fight, maybe against Jador if that fight's able to get made, and then fight those fights. But next should be Andrade versus Sulecki on this card. And I think that's happening pretty soon. So we might have both fights on at the same time, both the main events of the cards. Bit more success this round from Charlo. Bit more success this time from Adams, looking to trade a little bit more at times, whereas in the other 2 rounds he's been a bit more tentative.
Boxing on Sky Sports, brought to you by Voltero.
I'd like to taste a real Italian coffee, please.
What is the real Italian coffee? L'espresso.
And a capsule.
So yeah, so far, as I said, Charlo's got the ability to knock out an opponent, and I see the punch that he's looking for to knock it out. It's with the right hand, straight right hand as Brandon Adams did. He's trying to pin him with, but Adams showing the boxing ability that I'd seen of him on the Contender, and he's using it to good effect. I don't think he's winning at this point. He's just not landing enough. Now he's looking to get to work on the inside. Towards the end of the 3rd round, slipping some punches. The arms are getting tangled everywhere and throwing and slipping from both of them. But gets caught with a shot there. But every kind of winging shot from Charlo, Brandon Adams was able to kind of use his senses and duck out the way, landing a couple of shots. Nothing too effective, but scoring, I'd say. Would I give that round to Adams? I think maybe just about. So I'd probably say Charlo's 2-1 up at this point.
Next weekend's day, Hilton Garden Inn. Payday is here. Huge savings on big brands at Curry's DC World. 120 off this Beko 7 kilo washer with
But that last round was close, to be fair. In all honesty.
All from under £30 a month at Curry's PC World. The Huawei P30 Pro.
So we're 4 rounds in on Charlo vs Adams, as Adams gets in there right to the body from range.
The Huawei P30 Pro. Below light photography.
When life around you gets hectic, pause for a moment with Fuse Tea.
Charlo gets him with a hook there. Hands on Brandon Adams as Adams tries to jab in, get a combination.
A delicious fusion of mango, chamomile, and green tea extracts. Enjoy a minute of calm with the unique taste of Fuse Tea, and serve yourself a little me time. Worth of a man, knight or templar, is proven in the theatre of war.
Good body shot from Charlo. But it's now Brandon Adams backing up Charlo to the ropes. Charlo's able to get an uppercut, which is partially blocked from... Well, it's mostly blocked, to be fair, from Adams, yeah. Adams tries to get in with the overhand left as he ducks in and kind of rushes in on Charlo. Gets a left hook, but then gets a left hook into the body, but then takes a right hook from Charlo himself. But Adams looks mostly unaffected, sorry. Does it again with the overhand left. And it gets it in that time. Really good shot there, actually. Feints the jab with the right and gets in the right hand, which is really good. And makes Charlo miss.
Will England get their World Cup campaign back on track? A crucial clash against tournament favourites India later this morning. Coverage gets underway from 9:30. Sri Lanka, West Indies follows on Monday, both on the dedicated Sky Sports Cricket World Cup channel.
So Charlo's trying to pin him down with that right, but when he doesn't and Adams ducks down, he then gets in a right to the body. Whether it's hard to tell if that's blocked or not, but he goes for it, which is good, because if he doesn't pin him down with that right, then at least he gets a shot into the body. But I think this is an Adams round. I think Adams has been quite effective here. He's picked in some nice shots, especially with those overhand lefts that he's been doing as he comes in. I've got the fight on with no commentary. Or at least, sorry, the sound not on. I think obviously the commentators can affect how you view a fight. So I'm seeing this without any kind of commentary or there's a butt heads. Didn't seem to affect either of them. But for me, I see that as even. I think it's now 2 rounds to 2.
Metropolises of New York and Las Vegas, and this is where he won the vacant title.
Wallace 0071. The Parker fight is over. Stinker, yeah, it was. I have to be completely honest. It was pretty poor in terms of an entertaining fight. I mean, they're both warriors. They're both Samoan. They're both known for not backing down and having that kind of hard-headed about them. So there's no quit in either of them. It was just that after the first or second round, the tail of it was really that Leapai would plod forward. Good shot from Adams on Charlo there. Leapai would plod forward. Parker was able to get combinations in 2 to 4 to 5 to 6, but it wouldn't really deter or stop Leapai. Leapai would get in a couple of punches, nothing really effective. There was nothing really that would stop Leapai from Parker. And in the end, it was just kind of the non-competitiveness with the range of... There's stuff coming back from Leapai, but just not enough. But there was nothing really dominating from Parker as well. And the referee stopped it. Probably just to put the crowd out of his misery. They weren't really booing. And the commentators picked up that if this is somewhere else, they'd be throwing stuff into the ring. But, I mean, just the competitive edge after the second round really had gone. So, I mean, Parker got those rounds in. Got the stoppage. Wasn't the greatest of fights ever. I've seen worse fights. But I mean, it's probably what Parker needed on the whole. As now they're just showing the VTs to hype up this Sulecki Andrade fight, and we've got the Charlo Adams fight. Could be a little bit of an upset here with Charlo versus Adams, because I think at the moment it's 2 rounds to 2. And I think Adams is getting in quite a lot of success. Whether he'll end up with the points victory, I'm not sure, but I think he's shown pre-fight what I thought of him, that he's a really good boxer and not as good of a boxer people have been thinking of him that he can be, and has shown that he is. I think he's boxing really well and getting some successes on Charlo. Yeah, I mean, no getting away from it. Stinker. That was a total stinker. But maybe the main event will prove to be a lot better. As we go into the main events on both of these fights, as Charlo pins Adams to the ropes. Adams, to be fair, right there, gloved up, dodged the majority of those punches. Maybe one of those got through. Shown really, really good boxing skill there, to be fair. Genuinely very impressive. But we've now got both main events on, and as we have both main events coming on, please do subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing a lot more of these live streams, giving you my opinions. I've got a boxing series coming up, which I've just completed 2 videos for, which I want to get out, which I'm getting out tomorrow. It's got loads of jokes in there, give you my opinion on the action. Love to see your opinion of it. I'm pretty sure you'll all seen the thing that I'm going to put out, so it'd be good to get your opinions on it as well. So yeah, I'd love you to join me on my channel and subscribe to the channel if you see fit to. But as I said, we've got the Charlo Adams fight. Could be a bit of a upset happening here so far. I have it 2 rounds to 2 going into the 5th. Haven't seen too much of this round. It just seems like Adams is able to really negate Charlo quite a bit. I'm going to score that round even. I don't like scoring rounds even, but I think that round, because I didn't see too much of it, I'm scoring that one even. I'll maybe have to watch it back this round later on to give my opinion. But they're now showing like that solid jab from Adams. And yeah, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 dodged punches from Adams. A couple of them connected, but they were like grazing punches. The judges will probably see that and, you know, probably, yeah, one of them got in definitely. Yeah, but the rest of them really just kind of grazed him. I'd say, okay, so two got in there. 2 got in there. The others were just kind of grazing, in my opinion. Wallace, thanks for joining in. Hope you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next live stream, which will probably be pretty soon. But thank you for joining me. We've still got the main events here. We're in the middle of the Charlo Brandon Adams main event, and we've got the Sulecki Andrade main event still to come. But it's good for you to join along with me, Wallace. As we got, I think, Andrade coming in with a wolf mask. Really good jab, and then changing the angles from Adams. There's a rapper rapping Andrade to the ring. I'm into a rap. Can't tell who it is who's rapping him into the ring. Adams is getting backed up on the ropes, and he clinches. Good effective work of the clinch to negate Charlo from getting off the work, and the referee seems to be wanting to let that kind of go. Adams gets in with the overhand left again. Seems to be tagging Charlo quite well. Charlo's just got in with a left on the right, which seems to have wobbled Adams a little bit. Adams seems to have taken it quite well. Again, gets in with that left coming in. Charlo just seems to take it every single time. See you again soon, Wallace. Good uppercut on the inside from Charlo there. Man, these Charlo brothers, I mean, are they just a lot of hype? They've had unimpressive performances. For me, Jamal's always been the better one. But this is a competitive fight. Both of them having successes. Great, again, another great overhand left coming in from Adams. That's the money punch so far. I don't think Adams has the power to knock out Charlo, but he keeps tagging him with that shot. Again, tagging him with that shot as well. For the most part, Charlo then gets in a left and a right. Inside's work, doing really good inside work at the moment. This has been a really good round for both fighters. Coming into round 6. Another left that comes in from Adams. Good punch from Charlo there. That round ends round 6. Again, another even round. I think just I give that to Charlo. Couple of inside shots that really took my eye. Sorry, but that was really close. That could go either way. They're showing the replay now. Inside work, a left hook, then an uppercut. I think it's these couple of these inside shots that they're not jarring at all, but a couple of these are coming in a little bit more, and Charlo's been able to have that success. Showing that overhand left that comes in, it lands every single time. Just unfortunately, sometimes it'll get the glove, sometimes it'll get Charlo. At that point in time, it looked like it just got a bit more of the glove than it did Charlo. So I think Adams unfortunately loses that round, not just on that punch, but on the overall work of Jamal. Sorry there. They're just announcing the fighters for this one, Sulecki and Andrade. Good jab from Adams there. He's got to be careful still. I think he's really playing the cautious game, because Charlo does still carry that power through the later rounds. They've got an official scorecard. It's 59-55 to Charlo, 4 rounds to Charlo. I think I've got it a little bit closer than that, but there are very close rounds. But there's 5 rounds at least for Adams to turn that round. It's quite a bit of a deficit. Crowd really hot for Demetrius Andrade. Yeah, it's a largely Dominican crowd, so I think they've really turned out for Andrade. Adams takes a couple of shots there. Again with that overhand left he's coming in with. Looks like he just missed. Charlo not able to pin Adams with that right hand, and he dodges most of the punches. So the main event, Andrade versus Sulecki, is about to start. Bell for the first round is about to ring, and we'll have both of the main events on concurrently. Keep an eye on both of them. I think Charlo's won this round as well. I think he's just been a bit more effective with the work. Brandon Adams just hasn't thrown enough or landed enough to. But for the most part, Adams has made Charlo miss with a lot. Good body shot from Adams there. Another good body shot. Charlo wins that round as that round ends. This is looking a bit. There's a lot more energy to this fight as Andrade starts winging in some shots. Sulecki takes him. A lot more energy in this fight. Sulecki's down already in the first round. It might be an early finish already, an early night for Andrade. Sulecki looks alright, but it looks like he already wants to throw, and there's a lot of energy already in this first round. Another attempted wild shot from Andrade. This time lands again. It's the wild left, one to the body. Really good shot there. So we had a first round knockdown of Sulecki. Might have just been more of a flash than anything too concussive. But bad start here from Sulecki. It's just not throwing as he did in the first 45 seconds to first minute of this round here. Good overhand left again from Adams. It keeps he's very much able to land that all night pretty much as we're in the 8th. Looks like Sulecki's going to be able to get out of this round. 6-9-6-4 is the unofficial score so far, giving it 5 rounds to Charlo. Another winging left, which connects for Andrade. Andrade's putting on the pressure in the final couple of seconds. As Sulecki covers up. Andrade takes a right, which looked like it wobbled him. I think it was more from balance as opposed to anything concussive there. But it was a good opening first round. Both looked like they were wanting to throw, which is good. I think after Sulecki got caught, he kind of covered up a bit, which is probably the sensible thing to do. But Andrade looked good. For the most part, with the Charlo Adams fight, I think you can see the Freddie Roach influence in some of the punches Adams has been able to show and land on Charlo, but it's just not enough. At the moment, it's not enough. We're in round 8 of that fight. They're just doing a replay. Top of the head landed on Sulecki. Another overhand, I think it was a right this time from Adams, just missed. I think that's another Charlo round for me. Andrade taking the outside, comfortable on the outside, as Sulecki takes the centre of the ring. Sulecki's not able to land anything on Andrade at all. Andrade showing good movement, and showing good feint so far. Looks obviously the bigger man against Sulecki. Just showing a replay of the overhand right, which lands clean on Charlo from Adams. Really good shot. Just the problem is there, like, that's a really clean shot. Just Adams just doesn't have the power to land that. And it's one shot. It's one shot in a round where Charlo landed, or not cleanly, but landed enough to, 5 or 6 more than that one would tell. And when it comes to that old boxing trope of you have to go back to the champion's yard and rip the title off of him, which I don't agree with personally, but if that's the case and that's kind of how things go, then that's just not what Adams is doing, unfortunately. So Andrade's now he's not winging in with the shots at all like he did the first round, doubling up on the jab and then going to the body. But he's elected to put away that kind of marauding, winging, brawler kind of style to knock out Sulecki. Not sure why, because it was pretty successful. He's elected to box this round. Nothing really has happened this round, though, to be fair, in any kind of telling fashion, especially in comparison to the first round. I'd say probably Andrade's winning this round, but it's closer. Now Charlo's pinning Adams to the ropes. Again, mostly he's able to slip it. A couple of shots do land from Charlo on Adams. But I mean, Adams is just comfortable there. He's just not throwing enough. Second round ends of Andrade and Sulecki.
The asterisk, the sign that says what you're being offered isn't actually what you're being offered. Money back, asterisk, as a free bet, isn't money back at all. Sky bet
Who wins of which fight? Do you mean the Andrade Sulecki fight or the Charlo Adams fight?
back as actual cash. Hasta la vista, asterisk. Sky bet, leveling the playing field one less asterisk at a time. That's betting better. Boxing on Sky Sports, brought to you by Voltero.
If you're asking who wins, in my opinion, of the Charlo Adams fight, I think it's Charlo. Charlo at the moment is just throwing enough to the body. Adams just throwing enough in general. Adams just isn't throwing enough back. He's effective. He's kind of showing Charlo for his limitations, to be fair. He's able to slip a lot of punches and make Charlo look not like a superstar that maybe the hype kind of reflects Charlo as. I think other fighters have done that as well. But Charlo's just doing enough. Adams isn't, unfortunately, which is a shame. I don't think he has the... Adams is clowning a little bit. Unfortunately, Adams just doesn't have the power to really concern Charlo. Might be able to catch him with a punch, which could be exciting. I think he should be able to see it through, but Charlo's winning, definitely on my card. With Sulecki and Andrade, which I've got here as well. For me, Andrade obviously's got the knockdown in the first round. He was electing to swing. Both of them were, to be fair, the energy was from both of them. Second round, Andrade decided to box a bit more. Not really sure why, because in the brawler style wasn't kind of working for him. It's been a little bit more closer, and in the third round as well, it's been just been that little bit more closer as well. Sulecki having a bit. Nothing's really landing too much from either of them, from what I've seen, which kind of opens the door up for Sulecki to land a shot on Andrade. But I mean, if you're wanting to get those Golovkin fights, Canelo fights, you got to be plowing through a Sulecki to show you're that kind of level. Another overhand right from Brandon Adams. Looked like it was blocked. Yeah, it's I'd agree that at this stage it's looking like, although it's round 10, it's looking like Adams will need a knockout, which is very unlikely. But he's been game. He's been really game, I think, in my opinion. And I think from what I saw, the consensus was largely that Adams would just get knocked out. And coming into round 10, it just wasn't the case. Now Andrade is selecting to go to war and is more active. He's looking to come forward quite aggressively, like really aggressively. Sulecki seems he's all right with it. He's not too phased by it. Got in a good punch, got in the right there. At times, Andrade looks a little bit like David Hay. He does the little roll. He's very loose with his guard. He kind of ducks a bit, kind of remonstrates a little bit in the ring. Charlo just landing a 3-punch combination on Adams there. Seems to have Adams in a bit of trouble. But Adams is able to slip a lot of the punches from. He tries to wing in a punch back, but it just doesn't hit, unfortunately. It's a shame. I like Brandon Adams, I really do. But he just hasn't brought it really. In terms of his punch output and being able to land punches, he's landed punches, but just not enough of them. So we're in coming up to the last 3 rounds of the Charlo Adams fight, and now we're in the 4th round, I believe, of the Sulecki Andrade fight. I thought maybe we could, after the first 4 rounds, see a potential upset from Adams on Charlo, but I think Charlo's just taken over. And barring a spectacular knockout, and it would have to take that at this point from Adams, and Charlo should see through with retaining the belt. So we're in round 4 of Andrade and Sulecki. Andrade just keeps trying to wing in with that right, and sometimes it's just looking a bit looked a bit silly there, to be fair. I think Andrade's just showing himself a little bit too much because he will step in with a jab and then that jab's leading to a really winging punch. I think he needs to throw a few more combinations, mix it up a little bit to maybe not look and load up for that knockout punch to then actually eventually get Sulecki out. I think that's the problem at the moment.
Nobody's ever had any sustained success. There's not much success going on at all.
Good body work on the inside from Adams. Just 3 punches though. Tries the overhand right, and I think now Charlo in the 11th round has sussed it out, and he's made that adaptation to negate that punch. Interestingly enough, Steve Farhad gave none of the rounds, none of the first 4 rounds to Adams at all, but gave the 6th round to him. But I mean, at the moment, he's at least according to Steve Farhad, he's pitching a shutout, bar 1 round. Andrade has Sulecki towards the end of the round, backed up towards the ropes and was aiming towards the body. Good shot there from Charlo.
Jackpot games like Mega Moolah, where you could win over £1 million with just one spin. With all this and great new games to play every week, no wonder
14 million players have chosen us. Join tonight. Deposit £10 and get a £40 bonus. Visit unibet.co.uk.
Boxing on Sky Sports, brought to you by Voltarol.
So at the moment, Adams is now trying to do more work on the inside, and he's brought Charlo to the back of the ropes and trying to work in. He slipped a punch, and he's trying to do some work towards the last 30 seconds of the round. But they're in round 11, and for me, I think he has to pitch. He has to hit a knockout to win that fight, unfortunately. Hopefully I haven't gone down here as both my links. Just give a refresh. Both a bit stuck at the moment, but we'll get back up on here quickly. But I mean, the Brandon Adams fight and Jamal Charlo is pretty much ending, barring something spectacular. It's a points victory, unanimous decision, no controversy here. Charlo should be getting the victory, I think. Back up here, yep. So yeah, they're going into the final round. It's got to be a knockout. It has to be. Freddie Roach, I think, is giving the pep talk to him. I think he's put a decent performance. Has Brandon Adams. I think a lot of people underestimated him and thought he'd just get sparked out. I didn't. I know he's a pretty decent boxer. Just hasn't done enough for me. I think he's won at least 2 rounds, in my opinion. They came early, and then after that, it goes a couple of close rounds. But I gave those to Charlo, personally. And I think he just kind of ran away with it towards the end. But there's no outclass. It's not a level of outclassing here or domination. It's just that there's just a few more punches thrown from Charlo than Adams did. And that's going to tell, really. Whereas with the Andrade fight, Andrade knocked down Sulecki in the first round, then is elected to box his way through the next couple of rounds, which is a bit of a strange tact, especially when he's having that success and probably could have got his opponent out pretty quickly. As they say, they don't pay for overtime in boxing. Might open up the door for Sulecki to do something. But Andrade just looks a bit bigger. Looks like he has the ability to knock out his opponent. And in some of what's happened, the undercard, Leapai beat Jimenez. Bit of a non-affair, really. But then in comparison, it was a blockbuster because in comparison to the Parker versus Leapai fight was just nothing. It was just really nothing. Adams is putting on the pressure. Last minute, he's trying to take it to Charlo, trying to wing in some punches, but with a minute and a couple of seconds left to go, I think you'll see it through. Good one too from Charlo. Another one as well. I think they just missed, but he's putting the pressure on him. Charlo puts on the pressure on Adams, and Adams shown throughout the whole fight, just there in those last 30 seconds of the fight, what he's been able to do is at times slip a lot of the punches and show off his boxing skills, at least defensively, and make Charlo look a bit suspect, to be fair. But it's just not enough coming forwards offensively.
A lot of times when Andrade throws the jab, his foot's actually on the inside.
Bit of a show of respect, bit of bravado as well at the end there. I think Adams saying, you know, I was managed to take you 12 rounds. You know, you weren't able to knock out me or anything. Yeah, respect to Brandon Adams. I like him as a boxer. I can see his boxing skill. Just needs to do more. But that victory should be to Charlo in the bag. They're just getting the wraps and things off of him. I've given it 1, 2. I think I've given it 2 rounds to Adams at most. They came early for me. I'll have to watch that round 6 back again because that's what Steve Farhad gave to Adams, but I don't see any chance of upset is now gone. As we switch our attention to the fight that's still on, which is the main event of Andrade and Sulecki, which is that fight. We're in the 6th round here, and Andrade is on the front foot, banging shots to the body, keeping Sulecki in the back foot. They just both look pretty comfortable, both not looking to take any risks. It just sort of looks like Andrade's looking to just load up on that one shot. You just got to be careful with that because you keep doing that in every round and then you could see rounds slip away from you. Sulecki with a good shot there to the body. Oh. So, I don't know who this lady is, but they've shot to a lady in the crowd. I think there's a Polish flag on her back. I assume this is someone connected to Sulecki, maybe his wife or something, or a sister. Someone's tapped from the crowd this woman on the back, and she just full on gave the middle finger up to whoever was tapping her up on the back, and the crowd was just roared. That was hilarious. At least I'm pretty sure it was the middle finger. I hope so, because that was really funny. Good uppercut is being shown on the highlights there of Andrade on Sulecki. I've got to see that back. I really do hope that was the middle finger. I just didn't imagine that it was something else actually entirely, but it looked like it for me, and that's pretty funny. Is he showing that he's over the tricky low? I don't think so. He's not showing too much. Yep, it's been one of those fights so far where it's just been just so little coming from both of them, at least landing clean, that they'll. It's difficult to score, but I think like home crowd, hometown, those rounds will go to Andrade. So Sulecki's really got to step up a little bit before it goes away from him. Oh. So I think they're going into the decision between Jamal Charlo and Brandon Adams as the official results get read out. 119, 109. Yeah, it's pitching a shutout pretty much bar around. 120, 110, whatever it is. It's like nearly 5 a.m. 120, 108. Yeah, Charlo. So Charlo wins that fight. We can put that one to bed. Yeah, bigger and better things for Charlo. Hopefully he steps up in his level of competition. Brandon Adams is a respectable opponent, I think. Better boxing than he's given credit for. But I want to see some good fights now from Charlo. With Andrade, I think, especially after that first round, I think you should be putting away Sulecki. But we've gone into the 7th round. Give the fans something to cheer for with a knockout after that Parker fight. Man, it's a late one here. 5 minutes to 5 a.m. Sun's outside. It's been absolutely boiling here. But it doesn't matter because we've got boxing. And whenever there's boxing on, whenever there's decent fights on, I'll be live streaming. So I do hope you join me on the channel. Subscribe if you already haven't. I've got a boxing series that I'm bringing out tomorrow with a load of jokes, highlighting the action. I think we've all probably seen this, which would the thing that I'm bringing out tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited for it. Should bring back some memories. Love to get your opinions on that and show that to you. So if you're new here, please do subscribe. I'm doing this sort of live streaming in there and coverage of boxing in this sort of way. But yeah, I mean, this has been a bit of a duff kind of card in terms of output so far with the 3 fights on DAZN. Unfortunately, good shot there to the body from Andrade. Didn't see too much of the Charlo undercard. I don't actually know what happened with the Erickson-Lubin fight. Let's have a look. I imagine Erickson-Lubin came through on that fight. Let's have a quick look. If he's got to go to war, Sulecki, then do it. You know what I mean? He's not at the moment. Erickson-Lubin knocked out Zachariah Atu in the 4th round. It was TKO in the 4th round. Okay, fair enough. I would have thought Lubin had come through on that. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because this fight just really didn't catch fire. The first round was really kind of ignited. They're both looking to swing, both looking to fight. And I thought it would go on in that vein. Maybe there would be a quick stoppage, but just from there, it just really didn't kind of ignite at all, which is a shame. Not to say it won't towards the end of the fight, but it just didn't, unfortunately.
caught slightly square there, Andrade, and then just looked to hold on the touch, and then a little bit of nifty footwork towards
Could we see Charlo versus Jacobs next? I'm not sure.
upstairs.
Hopefully. Just a better opponent. I'd probably want to see.
Andrade is building up a healthy lead.
Yeah, I mean, Andrade is building up a bit of a lead on Sulecki, which is probably to be expected. So I've just been whilst those rounds were in between rounds. Someone put a comment of them was dropping Charlo with a left in the first round, and I was like, that didn't happen. That definitely didn't happen, right? And I was just second guessing myself, and I just brought up like a round by round kind of reader of what's happened, and yeah, there's nothing about that at all. So yeah, I think that's probably just some troll there. Got me a little bit. Yeah, no such thing. It was a pretty straightforward fight from Charlo.
4 rounds, that would be impressive. Sulecki has only lost once, and he went the distance there. Goes down to Jacobs.
Yeah, you would hope it try and close the show out.
Lots of rounds then Jacobs as well. 3-on-1 scorecard for another, 5 on another.
So we're in round 9 of Andrade versus Sulecki. It's been pretty much, I mean, they're nip and tuck these rounds. They're quite close. For the most part, Andrade's taking them. Sulecki's not really doing much. He's not really trying to brawl. At least when he does come in for the punches, Andrade takes a step back. They both kind of rotate around the central position. Neither of them's been able to back each other really to the top back of the ropes and then get their work off. Andrade does quite a good move where he does a fluttering quick triple jab and then moves away, which is I think is causing problems and it's making it hard for Sulecki to pin him down.
One of the draws for that channel, he has to be entertaining and he has to make it want to watch.
Yeah, that's true. It's not been overly entertaining yet from Andrade, apart from the first round. And this crowd was hyped for him. This crowd was really hyped. I mean, there will be hype regardless. Good right there. There'll be hype regardless for him because it's a pro Andrade crowd, but he's not really putting on a show just yet.
I can say that because I've trained and managed a world champion that's always on cards and not being a draw, Jane McDonald, because he's a nice boxer, he's a very, very good boxer, but because he don't bring you the excitement as such.
Just showing on my end. We're not showing up, just making sure we are. Yeah, we are. Good. Just want to say thank you to W Wallace 0071 for subscribing to the channel. Great to have you on board. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. It helps me grow. We're doing a lot more of these live streams. Good to get your support. Good to get you on board. Got another boxing streams coming up soon, as well as boxing videos coming up. One with a load of jokes. I can't wait to get it out. I've said it a couple of times. I've had it edited for so long. I did it the first time round, and it was just it wasn't good enough. And then I was able to sit on it for a bit, write a few more jokes for it. Now I'm really happy with it. It's going to come out. The first video of it's going to come out tomorrow, and then the first episode of it's going to come out in the week. Really looking forward to it and see what you think of it. And yeah, more live streaming. So if you're interested, please do subscribe to see more of these videos. So the 9th round finishes, going into the 10th. There's only 3 rounds for me to sit through as we get into 5 a.m. in the morning. Been a long day, been a long hot day. This fight is bubbled. It bubbled in the first round. just didn't go that way of just being entertaining. Hasn't lit into fireworks, which is a shame. This crowd is it's massive. It's absolutely massive for Andrade. They've really, yeah, they've really shown out for it. Whether this is a comp thing and Eddie just got like a load of people in for free or whatever, or Andrade's legitimately brought in a crowd like that, which will be really good for him, really good moving forward, being a ticket seller. I wasn't certain about his drawing or pulling power, but if those fans have come in of their own accord, and he's filled out that arena by himself. I mean, Joseph Parker's a bit of a name, but it was up against Leapai. I think this is mostly an Andrade thing. If he's got that Dominican backing, and if he's got those fans with him who are willing to buy that ticket, then that's going to bode really well for him in the future. If they can just turn him into a star. But he's got to get through people like Leapai. Man, I've been mixing up my names up the whole night. He's got to get through people like Sulecki, not have any banana slips. And there isn't at the moment. He's just built on that knockdown in the first round and then just boxed his way through after that. So they're talking about some tweet between De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn and not paying attention to what Canelo's doing. Can't be asked with that nonsense. I just want to see fighters in competitive fights. If Canelo ends up fighting Kovalev, that's a competitive fight for me. I think that's a really good fight, and I'll be watching that. Sulecki lands a good right hand, to be fair there, as Andrade's trying to pull with him a little bit. Bit too early for that. Again, too much loading up. That's been the story of Andrade. He loaded up in the first round and it worked to good effect. And then just later on, as each round came on, he just keeps trying to load up, trying to get that knockout, trying to wing it in. And I think Sulecki sussed that out. And then I don't like this posturing that Andrade's doing. It's a bit much. It's working for him, don't get me wrong, but it's just a bit much at the moment. It's tricky though, you gotta give him credit. He's able to do it, and Sulecki's not making him pay for it, whether that's because he's afraid of the power or it's legitimately just putting him off. It's working for him, and he's able to land a punch there and then move out the way. Would this really frighten a Golovkin or a Canelo? Not so sure. But he's tricky. He is very tricky. So that round 10 finishes, and again, that's another Sulecki round. I'm not really scoring it, to be honest with you, because there's just nothing. There's just not the need to score this type of fight at the moment. I think if Sulecki's cornermen aren't telling him to, step up the pressure now and kind of move forward with the punch output, then I don't know what they're seeing. They're just showing a winging left from Andrade, which lands. Didn't look like it landed to overly hurt Sulecki too much, but yeah, it was a good shot nonetheless.
So 2 rounds.
2 rounds left as we're coming up to nearly 5 past.
Poland, who's the challenger. Andrade was the champion, a WBO middleweight champion.
I like that. You just see Andrade being able to step inside of the lead foot of Sulecki. Andrade puts on the pressure and gets in a 3 or 4 punch combination there, which ends to the body. Good shot to the body. Yeah, so he's really, I don't know if part of the good inside work there from Andrade, I don't know if part of the kind of posturing, it's not posturing like a Nassim Hamid or like any sort of thing like that. It's just a bit, it is just posturing in a sense. Is to kind of mask the getting inside, trying to get inside the foot of Sulecki and then kind of work off. I do like that he does that. I just don't think he's been choosing the right punches and the amount of punches to then follow up on that, because he's been trying to elect with loading up with shots.
Let's not let him get onto any sort of rhythm, not let him get anything off substantial, and he's controlled everything.
Good body work there from Andrade. Man, Sulecki's just not providing anything. At this point, he's just not provided anything at all from around round 8 or 9, really. Maybe even a couple of rounds before, but I had my eye on the Charlo Adams fight.
I think if the Canelo fight doesn't come after, I don't think it will, because I think Canelo's looking at bigger options. And I think if Canelo
I mean, would you do this against Canelo? If you're... Good shot there. Good shot there from Andrade. You picking shots like this, you're just not gonna... Canelo just out volume you. And Canelo will just hunt you down. Sulecki finally putting on a little bit of pressure towards the last 30 seconds of the 11th round. Just not gonna be enough. As we head towards the 12th and final round, we've had Leapai versus Jimenez. Leapai coming up with a unanimous decision against Jimenez. It was an okay fight, decent, nothing spectacular. We had Joseph Parker versus Leapai. That was stopped late. Joseph Parker coming through and beating Leapai. Parker was coming up a bit of layoffs, probably needed the rounds. Fight could have ended a little bit sooner, not because it was overly dominating from Parker, but because it was just not getting really competitive. We had Charlo versus Adams. I thought Adams was being underestimated in terms of the boxer that he was and his capabilities. Seen a lot of stuff saying that he'd get knocked out. I didn't think that was the case, and that showed. But he just didn't have enough. Wasn't throwing enough. Was slipping quite a lot of shots and wasn't getting caught clean at all. And was able to land a few shots on Charlo, but just wasn't enough to get the victory. And it being very much a shutout for Charlo. And now we've got Andrade versus Sulecki. Andrade has knocked down Sulecki in the first round and pretty much just coasted ever since then. Has tried to load up on Sulecki. It hasn't really worked. Hasn't really entertained too much. Dave Colwell, his unofficial scorecard's coming up, and it's giving 109 to 99, basically giving Sulecki 1 round so far as we come into the 12th. So yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of an underwhelming night, to be fair, in terms of boxing, but I've enjoyed it. Always enjoy watching the boxing. If you're new here, do subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing these live streams as well as getting a boxing YouTube video out tomorrow. It's a series. I think you'll all have watched what I'm going to put out, so you'd all enjoy it. So I hope you stick around for it. But yeah, I'm doing more of these live streams. Enjoying doing it. Enjoying covering the boxing. Hope you guys are too. But yeah, there's a couple of fights coming up soon. That Pacquiao Thurman fight I'm looking forward to. Even the Amir Khan fight I'm looking forward to. It's always decent when Amir Khan's in the ring. Never really a stinker. You'll get controversy. You'll get a bit of action. You get a bit of fun. So it'll be good to see him fight next. But DAZN, man, if you want to widen the scope a little bit, DAZN, that this doesn't promote DAZN too much. These 3 fights, especially the second fight with Parker. I've got the Sky Sports stream. Sky Sports must be pissed. Sky Sports must be. I mean, recently with some of the fights have been put on Maybe not the last fight I saw. What was it? It was pretty decent actually. But apart from that, there's some of the DAZN fights that have been on Sky, especially this one, just been a bit. This has been really, really, really underwhelming. Promoter's nightmare a little bit, to be honest with you. But yeah, quite underwhelming. Just hope the next DAZN offering is a lot better than what this is right now.
But he's not as skillful, he's not as good as Demetrius Andrade. And he will have found this a frustrating job, I'm sure.
So as we're into the last 45 seconds of this, barring a spectacular knockout from Sulecki, Andrade's got this in the bag. New video coming out tomorrow. Look out for it. It's going to tell what's coming up forwards in the next couple of months on this channel. Then the next video will be coming out in the next couple of days. Working on a video right now, which is quite good look into what fans think about a couple of things. I think you'll enjoy that as well. That's probably the schedule that's coming out soon for myself. So if you want to stick around, that'd be great. So obviously click the subscribe button. But yeah, I mean, a little bit underwhelming with today. Bell for the final round rings. It's Andrade gotta be pretty much a shutout. Didn't score the foul myself, but I mean, yeah. The fans seem to love it. The fans they're all on their feet. I mean, as long as the fans go home happy, I suppose that's the main thing. At least the fans there at the stadium. Me, I'm not unhappy, but I mean, could have been a better night. You just hear the coach saying it was beautiful. Was it really? It wasn't like a. I don't know. I'm not hyping Andrade after that fight, personally.
Very, very convincing. He is going to be an extremely difficult man to beat, but in terms of making...
Yeah, but I mean, they're kind of hyping up as a difficult man to beat, but I mean, what does really Sulecki offer here today?
The president of the Who Needs Him club, really. Yeah. there's no upside to fight.
Yes, I mean, round one he was just willing to throw, and if the round one Andrade came out for the rest of the fight, that would have been great, and you would have probably got the stoppage. But I don't know if he just wanted to put a boxing showcase for his fans, but it just wasn't didn't really turn into that.
Of a fight with Sergey Kovalev, stepping up to 4th division, Kovalev the WBO light heavyweight champion, and that would be amazing. Just a much bigger fight than getting in there with Demetrius Andrade.
It would be, that's true. Commentator said about fight of Canelo Andrade and kind of Kovalev's bigger. Here's the result. 120 to 107 to Andrade. Yeah, Sulecki looking like he's disappointed in that. Like, where would you be disappointed? Oh, he's clapping him. To be fair, it looked like he was disappointed in that. Maybe he was just trying to pull away from the glove. But yeah, no robberies, no upsets. Andrade wins this one quite clearly. I will just stick around for the post-fight to see who it calls out. If anyone who's watching has anything in the comments to say, do let me know what you thought of tonight's offering of boxing. Let me know if you thought the Parker fight was a stinker and if you could smell it from where you were watching it from. Because yeah, it was just a bit boring, eh? So yeah, let's final thing for the night. We'll hear who he calls out if the this little interview happens pretty swiftly. Man, I'm not buying this hype. This commentators are trying to give him saying it's really hard to beat in that. You can't take that from that offering against Sulecki. There you go, straight into the post fight. I mean, he could probably make a career off of fighting here. Less opposition. These guys turned out.
Rhode Island. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
Providence, Rhode Island. Like, how often they go for fights there, and they've really turned out. It's pretty impressive.
Sulecki was a great fighter, top 10 guy. He came forth the whole night. You know, he allowed me to use my tools, and you know, I give people another great 12 rounds of boxing. Came out strong, utilized my skills in jab, and Sulecki ain't no pushover, no walkover. He ain't no Steve Rose, he ain't no Rocky Fielding. So Canelo, where your cojones at? Let's get it.
Calling out who? Who was the fight? Steve Rolls and Rocky Fielding. That's fair. He definitely wasn't a Steve Rolls. Rocky Fielding, Rocky's got a bit more about him. Rocky's won a title.
I'm going to step up to the plate. Like I said, Sulecki was a tough, doable guy. He wasn't taking no for an answer. He came and he fought and he was came to fight. And I did what I needed to do. Now
Sulecki or Fielding. Was Sulecki a better fighter than Fielding would be in comparison?
September.
We're going to take a look at the replay of the first round.
So he's calling out Canelo for September.
You know, I seen that he's vulnerable.
I'd genuinely rather see the Kovalev fight than Canelo Andrade fight.
You know, 12 rounds of boxing, training camp. I kind of felt something going on with my body. So what I did was utilize what I can and what I did, and I still look good doing it.
You came back to your corner after your first round, and your father said, "No, we don't want a war. We want a boxing match." Did things change a little bit for you
So
after that?
after the first round, they said don't war with him, box him.
My legs was bothering me for a while after a few rounds. My dad was like, take it easy. You know,
The legs were bothering him.
let's box. Let's give people what they need to see, the sweet sign of boxing, and that's what I gave them.
I didn't see.
The final piece.
I can't overstate and say, oh, there was sweet science of boxing. Like it was good at times, but
Listen, forget the WBC shit. Whatever that franchise belt is. Canelo, let's go, man. Let's unify this division. Let's have one champion. It's right here. Let's do it. That's it. There's no more running. There's no more games. Let's put it all on the line and see who's the best. Mano y mano. Cojones for cojones. Let's go. Viva la Mexico!
I appreciate that. Fair play to him. I just don't think he'll get it. He won't get that fight.
A very difficult guy to hit. These guys got to want to get into the ring with you. Do you think after a performance like this, they'll want to get in the ring with you?
If I would have stopped them, no. And I still beat them for 12 rounds, no. At the end of the day, if they're a man and they want to say that I'm the unified guy, I'm making a name for myself, I'm a legend, you gotta come this way. There's no other way.
It's fair.
I don't want to keep on fighting, you know, the bottom. Sulecki's a top 10 guy, there is no more top 10 guys anymore. I keep beating them, and I keep beating them. Where's Canelo? Where's Triple G? What's the holdup?
That's fair. That's fair. I can't argue with that.
Thank you. And I told you, everybody kept saying, oh, you looking past him, you looking past Sulecki, because I knew I was going to beat him. Let's make this happen. Thank you, DAZN. Thank you, Natural
It's
Boxing.
fair. I mean, I think maybe another opponent for him, and then let's have a look. Middleweight.
Coming out, New England, we're the best. Next week is party time, baby!
Guys. Well, apologies for the language there of the interview. Demetrius Andrade popped up after.
I think for me, you give Andrade someone like a Daniel Jacobs next. Give him that fight, and then if he comes through that fight, then you give him a Canelo type of fight. That will really kind of tell if Andrade's up to scratch. And I think that's an easier fight to make because they're both on the both signed to DAZN deals. I think Daniel Jacobs maybe has got talk about maybe moving up or something like that, but see if you all have a fight there. I think that's a genuinely competitive fight. It would be a good matchup between the two. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, I think he was quite fair with what he was saying. Calling out Canelo, he called out Canelo more than Golovkin, but still included Golovkin in terms of jabbing him, which is interesting. But he was definitely pitching more for the Canelo fight. I think it's probably just a money thing, maybe. Although he is signed to DAZN, maybe his money's guaranteed with whoever he fights. But I think obviously the bigger side in terms of the fan base, just about, is probably Canelo. So yeah, I suppose that's why he'd probably call out him. But that's about wraps it up. I've been on live streaming for about 2 hours, nearly 3. If you're new here, please do subscribe to the channel. Got a lot more boxing content coming away. Got one coming tomorrow. Can't wait to put it out there. Doing a lot more live streams. Hope you've enjoyed it. But yeah, this has been Take Aims. I've enjoyed doing the live stream, and I will hopefully see you on the next one. But video coming out literally within a couple of hours. One more live stream, and I'll see you soon. I've enjoyed doing the live stream, and I will hopefully see you on the next one. Yeah. See you soon. Goodbye. See you soon on the next one.